Do you feel it? We made it out, guys.
Yes.
We're here. Holy shit.
And
James,
the stream is live.
Yeah. James, are you intact?
Yeah.
All right. Eric, you there? You good?
I am here.
So for those who tune in later or now or whatever, welcome to Myth Brigade. Today we're actually going to be playing Call of Cthulhu 7th edition by Chaosium, which is usually a game that we play in person around the dining table, and it's probably equal parts gaming and eating meat-filled pizza or some kind of barbecue or something like that. But since we're on quarantine because of COVID-19, we're going to treat it like a normal stream, and we're going to broadcast from the safety of our bunkers. You'll notice that James's lighting game is still strong. Nice natural light coming in today. Eric's as well. Eric needs to clean up his Amazon boxes behind him. Hey, what has been in those Amazon boxes? You ordering toilet paper and other essentials?
No, most of those Amazon boxes are various recyclables that I need to take to the dump.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, there's that. That'll give you something to do. You just have to dress up in a hazmat suit to go out.
Yep.
Anyway, so
I figure I'll just drive by really fast and hurl them out the window.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then be chased by the cops on your way home for littering. That'd be great. Hopefully, all of you guys out there are actually weathering this nonsense with some shred of sanity. And speaking of sanity, let's meet our cast of investigators, if you will. Joe Miller, also known as Eric, Myth Brigade player. Tell us about Joe. Tell us a little bit about Joe so that people can get caught up if they're watching the stream for the first time.
Okay, so Joe is a private investigator. He tries to live more by his wits than by guns or even brawling. But he's no stranger to those things, and he does all right in a brawl. Both he and Walt were friends during the war, and teamed up to investigate some unusual activity recently, and that activity has turned out to be more occult in nature, which took a little bit of getting used to. And most recently, they've become world travelers, going down to South America and now over to London. And it's a little bit new to them. I mean, granted, they had to go to places during the war, but that was a little bit different.
Yes, yeah, so true. And the scenery in the war was all the same, right? These some shelled out, muddy, gnarly trenches. How about Walt? So James is playing Walter, shall we say, Walt Adler. Tell us about Walt.
Well, like I said, Eric was saying, it was buddies with Joe from the war. After that, he was on wandering the country doing odd jobs and stuff, and eventually found his way to Arkham to meet back up with Joe, and kind of got into the private eye gig with him, and has been on these adventures. Definitely leans more into the violence and intimidation than Joe. And as the campaign is wore on, it's kind of damaged his sanity, so he's even more prone to that at this point.
Nice. Very cool. So I thought it would be good. So we haven't really been faithful in streaming this stuff. So I never do this sort of verbose update, but also as I was recalling the complexity of this campaign, this is Masks of Nyarlathotep. It is not for the faint of heart in terms of keeping the plot together. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to just kind of go through some notes. Stop me and add anything that I've missed. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So your adventure began in the spring of 1923 when you left your lives in Arkham to join an expedition to Peru sponsored by Augustus Larkin, a wayward adventurer from Kenya. Matters with the Corleone family had been heating up, and the word on the street was that Walt might be the target of an upcoming hit. Branson Weathers, a trusted friend and professor at Miskatonic University, was suffering death threats as well, something about a severed goat head found on his desk. The expedition was a jaunt into the highlands of Peru, near Lake Titicaca. Don't laugh. in search for a lost pyramid, kind of the perfect endeavor for cooling things off. Not to mention, business at the Miller Agency wasn't really that booming. So in Peru, you met and became fast friends with Jackson Elias, a writer specializing in books about strange and violent cults. He was posing as a folklorist at the time, called Jesse Hughes, but revealed to the two of you, well, the three of you at the time, that he was investigating Larkin and his partner Luis de Mendoza as possible members of a cult of the Carasiri, a horrible creature from Peruvian myth. Things unraveled quickly when you and Elias visited Professor Sanchez at the Museum of Archaeology at the National University of San Marcos. Trinidad Rizzo, an undergraduate assistant to the professor, was murdered in the storeroom while you waited for her to join the meeting. She'd been working on a translation to a document from the mid-16th century that she believed may be related to the pyramid. It was written by a Spanish conquistador, apparently, named Gaspar Figueroa, and described a form of curse that befell he and his fellow soldiers. The woman had been expected to show up at the meeting, but was delayed. You would soon discover her murder and a strange golden artifact in her hands. Ultimately, you faced off against Mendoza, an ancient fat-sucking Carasiri, and confronted Larkin in his hotel room. There you witnessed as the depraved, emaciated junkies seemed to become possessed with the spirit of an entity that referred to itself as the Black Pharaoh. A brief but intense battle ensued, and Larkin lost his life. Your journey would then take you on a perilous trek through the highlands, where you would find the pyramid and the immortal abomination to which the Carasiri were indentured to serve, the father of maggots. There you discovered the golden relic was actually part of a complex inlay of magic meant to imprison the hulking worm. You repaired the missing section and restored its protective enchantment. So, somewhere out in the middle of nowhere in Peru, there is still a temple with a giant, nasty worm in there. And it's your fault. Did I miss anything on that one of any great importance?
I don't think so. Sounds good.
Eric?
Nope. I
Awesome.
think you got the important parts.
So, some years later, you received a strange telegram from your old friend Elias, who claimed to have an important information regarding the Carlisle expedition, an ill-fated excursion to Africa led by wealthy playboy Roger Carlyle. 24 members of the party and their bearers were massacred by what authorities surmised were hostile Nandi tribesmen. 5 tribesmen were subsequently hung for the crime. They believed it was hate-related. The telegram suggested that you should meet him in New York on January 15th, and you decided to do just that. In New York, you received a phone call from Elias at your hotel, beckoning you to meet him in room 410 of his own hotel, which was the Hotel Chelsea. When you arrived, the scene was that of a grisly murder, with Elias having been disemboweled with a pair of dark-skinned men wearing strange ceremonial headpieces. He had a rune carved deep into the flesh of his forehead. This then led to a frantic chase throughout New York streets. Did you kill anyone at this point? Was there any Walt killing involved?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, a Walt murder. Okay, that's good. I think the one guy got away, didn't he? You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. This is for those of you who are watching this sort of recap. This is now 2 years ago, I think, that we're talking about in the campaign span. We'll catch up quickly, though. So at Elias's funeral, you met Elias's publisher, Jonah Kensington, his lawyer, Carlton Ramsey, and his niece, Willa. Also in attendance was Rebecca Schosenberg, a reporter investigating possibly related murders and one who believes that an innocent man was about to be fried for a crime that he didn't commit. At the reading of the will, you learn that Elias had set aside a sizable fund to further his investigation into the Carlisle expedition. Likewise, he'd named Joseph Miller and Walter Adler and Branson Weathers as the designees to carry out this investigation and the beneficiaries of that fund. A chilling note read in the reading of the will suggested that he had seen his death coming. At Prospero House, which was the publisher, Jonah Kensington furnished you with a series of letters Elias had sent from abroad. These suggested that not all members of the Carlisle expedition had died, and for some reason, Elias was incredibly obsessed with the situation. It also implicated the cult of the bloody tongue in the Carlisle murders. You are in possession of all these notes, and I know, Eric, you have physical copies there. You may have to show them to the camera. At Erica Carlisle's Westchester mansion, you learn that Carlisle had been obsessed with an African woman, and I'm correcting her name if I gave you the wrong one. It's Nikonka Bonet. Believing Roger to be sick, Erica suggested that he speak with Dr. Robert Huston, for some therapy, right? He would later join Roger on the expedition. Roger's behavior became erratic, and he started speaking of strange dreams and disappearing for long lengths of time before leaving for this expedition. You met with Professor Anthony Cowles, an Australian anthropologist. He was able to give you some research that he had on, it was a cult of the bat, I believe. Don't have a lot of details on that because they're not relevant in the moment. Anyway, following the clue of a business card found in Elias's effects, you visited Emerson Imports, just beyond Hell's Kitchen. Now, Emerson is the U.S. agent for the Mombasan exporter Aja Singh, whose only U.S. account seemed to be a place called the Juju House. Emerson stated that Elias mentioned a plan to visit and speak to its manager, one Silas Nakwane. Emerson also said that Nakwane made his skin crawl. After speaking to Rebecca Schoenberg, you visited Millie Adams and ultimately her husband Hilton on death row. Hilton and his friends had been investigating leads that a series of grisly murders might be linked to a strange African death cult there in Harlem. Millie mentioned having overheard the militia mentioning something about the Juju House. So at that point in New York, all roads were kind of leading to the Juju House. In the basement of the Juju House, you faced off against Nakwane, a pair of baleful undead constructs known as Kimba, and a hulking worm-like horror composed of the wailing, sobbing faces of hundreds of victims. And then, of course, let's just check in with Walt. Was there some Walt murder that happened at that?
Did the old man get kicked into the hole with the worm?
Yes, you kicked the old man into the hole with the worm. So his face is probably on it if it should come back. So there was a great battle there. Then we move to England, and we're getting close to now. So buckle up, guys. Following a lead given by Jonah Kensington and the general path of the Carlisle expedition as well, you traveled to the UK. There you met Mickey Mahoney, the owner and editor of The Scoop, which is kind of a tawdry newspaper. Mahoney turned out to be a gregarious man and was saddened to learn of Elias's death. And again, you made sort of fast friends there. He provided 3 articles that Elias had shown great interest in. One about a London artist whose work was reportedly somehow connected to some other dimension. It was getting all sorts of disturbing and horrific reviews among art critics. One about a killer beast tormenting the townsfolk of Lesser Edale, and one about the so-called Egyptian murders causing public outcry in the city. Your investigation into Miles Shipley revealed some truth to the Scoop's article. The artist's mother, it seems, had been overtaken by some form of strange serpent creature. The creature held Shipley under its influence, rewarding his loyalty with otherworldly artistic gifts. And, hey guys, there was some Walt killing. Do you remember how that one wound up? What's a quick summary of how that one wound up?
We found the original body of the mother long dead there, confronted Shipley, and he tried to get away or threatened us, and then was killed.
Yeah, was killed. You take no responsibility for it.
Actually, Shipley killed himself. Oh. He charged out the open window, threw himself out, and impaled himself on a wrought iron fence.
That is absolutely right. See, this is why Eric takes notes.
But there was the snake lady.
Yes. Yes. Your visit to Lesser Edale was one that will forever fuel nightmares. After a great investigation, it turned out that the Vale family, an influential family living in their ancestral home, was cursed. Upon reaching maturity, any female Vale children would intermittently shapeshift into a ravenous ghoul. Your investigation ended, of course, in the death of Eloise, the ghoul, her brother Lawrence, and her father, Lord Arthur. That's 3 Walt killings, I think. Although I think Joe probably participated in some of that.
There was assistance.
Yes, and one of the Vales killed another Vale, I think.
Yes. That was an accident. I do believe that Lawrence shot his father in the chest with a shotgun or something like that.
I believe so.
Thanks only to the support of Reverend Stratton, the local vicar.
And we lost Weathers.
Yes, that is true. Eloise actually killed Branson Weathers. God rest his soul. So now we are down to 3 boxes on the overlay. Also, it'd be weird to have a box for Weathers since I played him.
NPC.
Yeah, thanks only to the support of Reverend Stratton, the local vicar, and Constable Tumwell, you escaped Lesser Edale with your freedom. Because obviously, coming in and slinging guns and being American, all those things together is really bad here in the UK. So, your investigation now into the Egyptian murders continues. And thanks to Joe's fast talk, Inspector Barrington offered some useful advice as you started looking into these murders. You learned that Elias visited the inspector, claiming that the murders were the work of some cult called the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh. Following that tip, Barrington met with Edward Gavigan at the Penhew Foundation. He confirmed that there had once been such a cult, but he claimed that they died out long ago. He confirmed also that the method of the murders was consistent with their ritual approach, but again, thought it only coincidence. And he also had very little nice to say about Elias. There have been 19 murders matching this MO in the last 3 years. They're called the Egyptian murders because 17 of the victims were actually Egyptian nationals. The Blue Pyramid came up as well. It's a club in Soho. It's frequented by residents and visiting Egyptian businessmen as well. And Barrington had been staking the place out, believing it somehow connected to the situation. He interviewed a number of people with connections to Egypt, and Zara Safiq stood out. She worked at the Penhew Foundation in the past. She seemed like she was holding something back when Barrington talked to her. So he had her tailed and found that she did in fact frequent the Blue Pyramid. You visited the Penhew Foundation. Now, I couldn't find much in my notes about this, so I'm going to ask Eric to fill that one in. What did you find out from Gavigan at the Penhew Foundation when you went?
So when we visited the Penhew Foundation, at that point, Gavigan was busy, according to the receptionist. We asked a bit about the Blue Pyramid Club, and again, Zara Safiq came up. She used to recommend it to others at the Penhew Foundation, and she used to work at the Penhew Foundation, but she left to fund or to open her own enterprise, Empire Spices.
Yeah, and the Penhew Foundation is essentially a local sort of a storehouse for Egyptian artifacts, a place for Egyptian scholars to go and study. They have quite a lot of resources for that purpose there. On your return from your so actually you visited the Blue Pyramid, if you recall, taking in the Egyptian motif, the exotic food, drink, and alluring belly dancers. Walt especially liked the belly dancers. One such dancer, Yalisha Essam, deftly passed a note to Walt saying, "Meet me down the street by the arches," or she might have whispered in your ear. I can't remember which. She really liked Walt, it seemed. She shared some important information there. Rather than making out with him, she actually informed him that you guys are in danger. She's fearful of this Brotherhood, for the first time confirming that there is in fact a cult by the name of the Brotherhood in operation. Her boyfriend Badru was brutally murdered for threatening a member that was making advances at her. Once a month, apparently a truck arrives around midnight and shuttles up to 24 Blue Pyramid customers to parts unknown. She believes that the truck takes them somewhere outside of London, and they are always led by Zara Safik. The Blue Pyramid's owner, Abdul Nawisha, fears Zara, supposedly. On your return from your late-night meeting with Yalisha, you were assaulted by a formless horror in the thick fog of London's streets. You narrowly escaped a grisly death by clinging to the dim light of the street lamps and went back to your hotel battered and bruised. And of course, when you returned, you found what? That your hotel had been pilfered. When last we met, you were sort of recovering from the situation. I'm skipping some details, so if you think any are important, please interject. When last we met, you found yourselves drugged and imprisoned. You woke up basically to the thud of, well, actually, I believe there was cloth slipped over your heads. I'm going to turn the scary music on now. There we go. Oh, that's so much better. So you're in your hotel beds. The black cloths were slipped over your heads, and you were injected with some sort of sedative. Walt tried to fight his way out of it and did a reasonably good job, almost braining someone with a lamp until he was held down long enough for the sedative to really take effect. You came to in a brick prison of some sort, like just basically a cellar, featureless square room. And there was another person in there. Tell me about that person. Who was it?
That was
let's call her
Sarah.
call her, yes, Sarah.
Yes. She claimed to be a junkie, a failed actress who came to England to try her hand at theater. She told us that the Egyptian in charge of the whole operation is, in fact, Gavigan from the Penn U Foundation. She claimed that they used the lackeys that were boarded onto the truck, and there was a detail that was skipped there. We were told that those people who were boarded on the truck and taken away, when they came back, they appeared to as if they were in a trance and not themselves, and that within a day or so, a murder would occur. So going back to Sarah told us that they used those lackeys to dump the bodies. She questioned us to try to get some information out of us, and then we were very careful about what we revealed to her, trying to withhold any names or organizations on our side.
Yes. So she would have also, I believe she mentioned Gavigan's Miser House, which is a house somewhere outside of London. You're not sure where, but apparently he has quite a holding there. So you escaped. Joe got the bright idea of tearing down the conduit and sort of peeling out the wire. And he used that to electrify the door handle. And then, of course, a chase ensued. Walt, was there some Walt murder there? Was there Walt killing?
I think a guy got a brick to the head. I think we got a
more
gun
to
and
the
shot another
face.
guy. Yeah. Yeah, and
in my
the
notes,
description,
I had to point out that Walt fed the man a brick.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it was a brick sandwich. And it was, I remember you just put all of your weight into it. So we're going to assume that guy's either dead or still dealing with lots of dental bills.
Well, while Walt was feeding him with the brick, I brained him with a pipe. So one of the two, probably did him in.
He's rubbing off on you. Okay, so you escaped, and Sarah escaped as well, although she stopped apparently and was having some kind of conversation with the doorman who confronted you as you were leaving. Yes. Sort of this frantic scene. You sort of just ran around the door guy and you left. He obviously was intimidated, even though you were both in your long johns. Running through the streets in the middle of the night through Soho, you were confronted by a constable who you did your best to fast talk, Walt, which is not your strong suit. So how'd that play out?
I think I pretended to be drunk because I think Joe had acquired clothes off of someone we beat up.
We had taken the clothes off the brick man.
Yes.
And yes, Walt pretended to be drunk, and I think he was clothed only in his long johns. So we made up a story about Walt having stumbled out into the night without proper clothing, and that I was trying to get him back to our hotel.
But the cop decided that you should spend the night in the dry tank. At which point, what did Walt do? Do you remember?
He wasn't paying attention to me, so I just put him in a chokehold and put him to sleep right there on the sidewalk.
Because that's
That's
foreign
Walt does.
relations. Yeah, that's foreign relations. Yeah, so you choked the cop out, and then ran off into the night, the two of you. Then, of course, confronted by a maid at the hotel, and were able to basically get some rest. I think you didn't stay at the hotel, though. I think you stayed at the abandoned apartment, didn't you?
Yeah.
We did. We took what we could from our rooms, which wasn't much because whoever had abducted us had taken most of our stuff.
Like they even took Michelle, right? I think they took Walt's other gun.
They took all our weapons and ammunition. Yeah. About the only thing they left was my lockpicks and photos. But they did take my camera and all of our weapons and ammunition and I believe all of our notes.
I still have the stolen art from Shipley.
Yes, they did not touch that.
Yes, no, that's
not sure
true.
why anyone would want to.
Yeah, and I think you had them kind of rolled up and sealed. So after that, you went to the abandoned apartment that you realized that you could get into. It's the place that you used to stake out the Blue Pyramid. Somebody made a reference to Tolkien about the closer we are to danger or whatever. I forget the specific quote, but it was a good one. You were able to sleep there. On the following morning, you went to visit the Scoop. You needed a new base of operations, and you knew that Mickey Mahoney was a trusted friend. And this is when we dive back in, right? So Walt and Joe, only moments ago, you entered through the front of the Scoop. It's a hunter green, thick carpet and a real kind of gaudy wallpaper. There's papers stacked up everywhere as always. The receptionist you found dead, which obviously tipped you off that there was kind of something going on there. Pressing further in, looking for Mahoney, you didn't hear the usual, Irish brogue, babbling off in his office. You did, however, smell the sort of stale scent of his cigars. You walked into his office. Joe, you came around the desk, if you recall, and you noticed that it was a bit kind of disheveled. And you found the body only seconds ago of Mickey Mahoney dead behind his desk. Throat cut, bled out all over the hunter green, thick sort of plush carpet, matting it down and making it black with blood. And so here we are. Your heart rate spiked. There was a sanity roll, which I think both of you failed. Walt said something like, "Meh, it's just a dead body." What do you do in this moment? It is, let's call it 10:30 in the morning. There are corpses here. What do you do?
There was also a note with tiny print saying, "Stop meddling."
Yes. Drat your meddling, kids. Yes. What do you do?
I think I left off searching Mahoney's body.
Yes, you are right. You did. You went for his wallet. I forgot that. That was an important detail. You went for his wallet, and you found some money because you need money. You only have 5 bullets, I think, something like that. I think Joe only has 5 bullets.
I think we have one gun, one knife, and whatever was in the gun between us. We took that off the brick guy also.
Yeah, I have a knife. Joe has a revolver, I think we got from someone.
It's just starting to sound like a game of Clue. I got the knife, got the revolver, candlestick.
I'll search his desk while Walt is searching Mahoney.
Okay. Please give me a spot hidden roll. For those of you who are wondering, we are using normal dice, or roll 20 if that's what they want to use, but I'm not enforcing the die roller on screen roll because we didn't have time to set this up in advance.
1.
1. Well,
Yeah, 1. It's on roll 20. 1 out of a lot more than that, 96. So that does beat the 1/4.
So, yeah, it absolutely does. So you get a stunning success. So you open you first notice that the central desk drawer has a keyhole in it. It is not locked though. You open it up, and there is in fact a .38 revolver there. It's a snub nose, so it's kind of one of those cute little gangster guns, but it has all of its bullets.
I'll pass that off to Walt so that we're both armed.
You find a ledger there as well. It is the ledger for this month, and basically kind of pulling it up on the desk. Do you choose to open it? What do you?
Yes.
What do you do? Okay. So you do, and in there is just obvious financial records from the scoop. So purchase of supplies, paper, inks, that sort of thing. Payroll is outlined in here as well. One thing catches your eye though, Joe, as you're thumbing through this, your astute observation. It's actually out of the corner of your eye. There's a loose clipping just laying on the floor by Mahoney's foot, as if it sort of fluttered down there in some of the chaos.
Check it out.
You pick it up. It is a clipping from the scoop itself, which I'll add to your journals. Again, I didn't have time, so I apologize. It reads, "It almost had me," in huge letters, by Mickey Mahoney from a correspondent. Glasgow resident, Mr. Alan McGann, had an unwelcome encounter with a monster of darkness while making his way home this last October. On hearing wails and cries, a police officer arrived to find Mr. McCann distressed and removed him to the local station, where he was able to give a statement. It was like turning suddenly, knowing something was there, only to find nothing. A nothing possessing hideous life. The dank smell of the fog was replaced by the foul stench of smoldering hair, which reached out and filled my lungs and made it hard to breathe. I began to choke. It meant to kill me. I couldn't see it, only feel its terrible fingers filling my mouth and nose. Readers visiting Scotland are advised to be cautious on nighttime rambles in the Glasgow area and to be on the lookout for invisible monsters down dark alleys. The thing that you notice about this clipping, other than the ironic timing of it and its general presence here, is it does look like it's been crumpled. It's not a fresh cut. It's almost like it was cut out and brought here. Maybe it was intended to accompany your warning. Joe, what do you do? So you've got this thing in your hand. You kind of read it over. Walt, you are stooped down next to Mahoney, and you've got counting out the cash. I believe you left a couple of the larger notes. You just took,
I put everything back, so it's like we weren't here.
Yep. Joe.
What do you think? Should we call the constables?
I think it's best we don't end up more associated with this than we already are.
I'm sure somebody nearby has seen us coming and going.
Well, yeah, we need to be more careful leaving. And the sooner the better.
The back of Walt's mind, you've got this vision of the constable from last night showing up and you're like, it's the guy in his underwear. What do you do?
Well, I don't think it's likely we're going to find much else here.
A quick look around and make our way out.
Well, give me a spot hidden roll. Let's see what kind of stuff you find, if anything, that a 1 would not have found.
That's a 35 out of 89.
So, well, the first thing that jumps out at you, for a variety of reasons, is Mahoney's generous bar. Of course, back in these days, many offices, certainly senior leaders, had a bar. You've got crystal flasks with what would appear to be some legitimate scotch. There's some gin, and also some tequila.
Oh, it's unusual. Not taking any of it, trying to minimize my presence here.
It's all you can do not to refill your... Who kept Weather? Didn't one of you keep Weather's flask? Or did you bury it with
If we still have it out of all the times we've been robbed.
That's true. It's probably still sitting in the hotel room under the bed or something. So, okay. So what do you do, guys? You are standing in this quiet office that you can hear the sound of the fan ticking. Tick, 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 tick.
Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Where do we go?
The hotel?
Hotel or the apartment?
Either way.
Let's try the hotel.
So you make your way back to the front of the building, and exiting the building is somehow a bigger deal than it has been in the past, right? So how do you go about maintaining sort of a low profile there?
If there was like a back exit out of this office.
In fact, there is.
Go that way and take the alleys to the streets or something.
Okay. So you do. You make your way to the back door, which leads out an alley. There's some trash cans out there, and some bags of trash and refuse and whatnot. There's quite a lot of it that's sort of been just cast aside. You look around. You don't see anyone. As you step from the shadows of the alley, right? This kind of gray shadows, because the London sky is generally gray and gnarly anyway. But you step out. It's somehow brighter. And you hear this sort of sound of a passing car, the puttering of an early 20th century car. Passes in front of you, spraying up some, might have been horse urine, you're not really sure, from the gutter onto your shoes. But yeah, you make your way out, and do you walk back to the hotel? Do you take a bus? What do you do? You've got some cash now.
Walk. Think this over. Do you want to just get our stuff out of the hotel, since I don't think that hotel is safe anymore, and move into that apartment?
Probably be a good idea.
We're gonna go squat in this apartment, and then the landlord comes in to show it to someone who's looking to let it, right? So you walk across London. So this takes quite a while, right? You were a bit of a distance from the scoop. You kind of walk along the Thames. You can see the beauty of the river and all the steamers coming and going. And it almost feels for a moment as if the chaos that is going on is not real. You arrive at the hotel. Nobody really notices you're coming and going. The doorman of the morning happens to kind of looks up and nods. Morning, sirs.
Morning.
Good morning.
And I'm trying to keep an eye out for people keeping an eye on us, if there's any.
Okay. I will keep that in mind. I will make some rolls for you here and there. The first thing, Walt, that occurs to you is trying to keep an eye out for sort of people watching you in a place so unfamiliar. It's pretty hard. You especially with your state. You start thinking everyone is watching you. In fact, the doorman nods, and you kind of glance back at him, and you catch that he's nodded, he's looked away. You look back at him, and his gaze snaps away from you, like uncomfortably. You make your way into the elevator, the elevator person, and it's almost in slow motion. The elevator guy looks over his shoulder at you. Morning, sirs. What floor, please? And he smiles at you, Walt, and he's not stopping.
Give him the answer, whatever floor we're on there.
Is something all right with you?
I'm fine.
All right. Fair enough. Floor 12 it is then, he says. He cranks the little dial up and kind of closes the cage, and up the elevator goes. You checking in?
We're just dropping by to get some of our stuff.
Oh, right. It's a nice day out, huh?
Yes, it is.
Just a little kind of bellhop hat on, you know. After a little bit of uncomfortable small talk with the scary elevator guy, Walt, who again just he's looking at you, just smiling. Ding goes the bell, and the sort of cage opens up. Steve Nedley, what's up? He's joined the chat. He says, "Scary elevator guy working hard for that tip." You are absolutely right. So, as you hear the ding and the iron, you know, the sort of what's that word? The metal gate opens up. He does hold his hand out. Safe ride, right? He smiles.
Tip him appropriately.
Oh, thank you, then, Governor. He says. And,
a slightly too hard pat on the back. Have a good one.
Do you give him a little? You can see he's internalizing that, like trying to figure out what you meant by that. So you pam. How much did you tip him?
Normal amount. I don't know what would that be.
Just a few pence. Okay, so you don't just lay like a £5 note on him or something from Mahoney's wallet. Right? Okay, so you step out again in the thickly carpeted hallway, right? These sort of grand Victorian doorways and this long, scary, shining hallway. You make your way back to the door that you've gone to twice now. That, as you recall, the last two times you've come to this door, literally the last two times, the room had been invaded each time. It is closed now, though. And you pull the heavy key ring, right? It's got a big leather tab with the room number on it, and you clink the key into the brass lock and open the door. It creaks open. It smells like cigarette smoke and plaster. There's nobody in there. It's a nice room, you think to yourself. What do you do?
Check it thoroughly for people.
How do you go about doing that? So you check it. You pull out your pistol. Like, how does that play out? Thanks for the host, Steve.
Not pulling out the gun, just checking the rooms.
Okay. So
I'll have my hand on mine in my pocket.
Okay. So you step in and kind of fan out. And again, this is sort of a larger room. It's got 2 beds in there because you guys aren't that good of friends. You look around, and interestingly, some of the stuff that you left, and ironically, you do notice Weather's flask there, just kind of under the edge of the bed, just where the GM said it would be. But pretty much the rest of the stuff that you left there is fine. It's clear, you think to yourself. What do you do?
Collect the important stuff.
What does that mean?
Some clothes, those pictures.
Okay. So you basically reload your steamer trunk of stuff, right? Because this was kind of your base of operations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a rucksack.
Okay, fair enough. So you carry all this shit in a big disorganized glob. Joe, what about you? You go and pretty much just gather up all your stuff?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you clear out the room. You notice that your packs of smokes, most of your possessions were left alone. It was just key things that might have had resale value, or maybe might have been used to collect evidence, maybe, that these guys seem to want to take. So yeah, you gather up your stuff. About 3/4 of the way through, you hear the door. What do you do? Well, you hear it first. Joe, you're in the middle of packing your trunk over by your bed.
Make a noise to get Joe's attention and point to the door, and then go to the door.
What kind of noise do you make, just out of curiosity?
Like that. Shh, like that.
Yeah, not like pew. Like, no. Okay, got it. just checking.
Hey, so Joe.
Hey, there's somebody. All right, so you psst, psst, and you point to the door.
Yeah.
Okay. You see at this point the door handle is kind of rattling.
And wait, so when the door opens, I'm on the opposite side of that.
Okay. So you kind of sneak around to the back side of it, and Nedley says, "Caw, caw." Yeah, so you get over there. Let's give me some stealth. Let's see how quiet you are here.
Pretty good. 55 out of 88.
By the way, guys, these are advanced characters we've been playing for years. So if you're looking for these to be like pre-gen with this campaign, that's not the case. They've got some high numbers. Also, we were doing advancement a little bit wrong, but that's all right. So you use the padding of the carpet, right, and kind of walking on your toes to move as quickly as possible, almost like ninja kind of fast. Joe, what do? You see Walt move over. He kind of gets behind the door where the door would be opening into him. You're there with like your underwear and a variety of other things kind of packing into your trunk.
I'm going to turn to face the door, hand on the gun in my pocket again.
Okay. You don't take it out. You just kind of have it ready like gangsta style.
Pretty much, yeah, because I don't want to be standing there pointing a gun like if it's a maid or something.
Yeah, fair enough. So the door opens and kind of opens fairly slowly. Walt, I'm going to ask you to give me a sanity check here.
Get that paranoia to kick in, huh?
Sir. For those of you joining for the first time, Walt is batshit crazy, thanks to bad things.
That's not going to help.
Yeah, it's an 85 or 31 sanity.
So, the door opens very slowly. Walt, you hear German voices. There are two of them. One of them is, and both of them are sort of hushed. It's like they think they're going to get the jump on you. You're not sure what they're saying. Your German is fuzzy even after all those years, right? You could swear that you see the tip of the barrel of a rifle coming in the crack of the door. How do you react?
Grab the rifle and pull them into the room.
Joe, from your perspective, you see the door open. The kindly woman who lectured you about arriving undressed last night. She has the handle of a broom, and she's kind of pushing the door open. Walt reaches out and grabs it and jerks her into the room. She's, "Oh, for God's sakes!" as she falls down on the. So you're looking, Walt, at this German you have pulled forward and has fallen down in front of you. What do you do?
Am I holding a rifle?
You are holding a broom.
Okay, that doesn't make sense, so I'm a little stuck there. If I still thought it was a rifle, I'd be pointing a rifle at the German.
That would be so funny, pointing a broom at the German. I should have gone with that. Sorry. Yeah, so you have this broom in your hand, and you're sort of staring at it. Joe, what do you do?
I'd rush over to help the lady up. Proclaim, "Walt, what are you doing?"
I'm sorry. Very sorry.
For God's sakes, what do you think you're doing? You drunkard. You filthy fucking drunkard, she says. You come in at all hours of the night wearing your skivvies and then you throw me on the ground. Give me my... But she snatches the broom from your hand. She straightens her
I'm terribly sorry, ma'am. He's still a bit disoriented.
Bloody hell, right, you're sorry. Why did you do that, she says. I'm coming to clean your fucking room.
I'm just continuous apologies. I'm sorry.
So you're just sort of profusely apologizing to her, which seems to be pissing her off even more. She says, "Why don't you get your ass out of here so I can clean the room?" She starts smacking you in the ass with the broom. Go on then. Go on then.
Stuff and leave.
Off with you. I mean, she literally stands there and just growls and bitches at you the entire time. You're kind of dragging your trunk out. Crazy Americans, she says. You leave the room thinking you've got most of your things, most of the things that are important. Walt, you're still processing what just happened. The tension of that door opening and how you felt your hands sweating, that heartbeat ticking upward, and then you could swear that you heard that German. Probably Fritz, the one whose throat you'd cut open and had that little eye contact thing with. We talked about that last time, I think. Where do you go? You step out in the hallway. You can hear the maid as the heavy door shuts. Don't pull my broom. What do you do?
Use the stairwell to leave.
With your trunks? That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, you get some PT in, right? You take the stairs? Because you're afraid of the elevator guy? Is that why? I just have to ask. Is that why? Is that what we're saying?
Just
the
trying to
elevator be easier?
Yeah.
Walt
Yeah,
seems
with luggage.
pensive. He seems pensive, though, as he looks down toward the elevator. You can see it in his eyes. Like,
Are you all right?
I could have swore I heard German on the other side of the door.
I'm just glad you didn't stab the poor lady.
Me too.
you take the
After
elevator,
this,
you
we
take
need
the
a
stairs.
vacation.
I agree.
You went right from World War I into this. You take the stairs, or do you take the elevator?
Go to the elevator.
Take
Okay.
the elevator.
So you move up to the elevator, and again, your heart rate increases as you approach. You're watching the sort of needle kind of move as it comes up, right, from call. And the gate opens, and well, that was quick then, wasn't it? It's the generous gentleman. Please come in, he says, stepping aside, smiling at you again. It's less creepy this time, but just as unrelenting. Probably just his thing. He's a smiley guy. He takes you back down. Elevator stops the ground floor. He opens it up and smiles. You give him more money?
Why not? It's not mine.
Well, that's right kind of you then. I wasn't expecting another one. Have a wonderful day, he says.
You too.
You step out in the lobby. Walt, the door, what's the word I'm looking for? The desk clerk is kind of craning his neck. Checking out, sir. Checking out, are you?
Yes, sir.
Right. Please. You go over to the desk, I'm assuming. Who goes? Both of you?
Walt's got the money. It either has to be both of us or him. But I'll follow him.
I like that you don't split up the money. Like, you give it to Walt because Walt could be trusted. I might spend it on snacks.
More like we haven't taken the time to work out the logistics.
Yes.
Yeah.
You walk up to the counter and check out. The balance due on your room is going to be £2. You pay those £2 sterling, and you get a sort of a folio with a list of what's gone on there, just a little handwritten receipt. You keep it? You throw it away?
Keep it.
Okay.
Keep it. We
Was
got to
there
bring
any
it back to the.
property lost?
Yes, in fact, it does seem as if there was a discount there. There is some notion of privacy invasion, and there is actually a little note at the bottom that's, apologizing for your inconvenience. But yeah, so you make your way out of the hotel with your steamer trunks. Now, mind you, these don't have wheels on one side like the rolly cases of today, so these are not exactly easy to carry. So
Well, they probably got one of those wheeled carts or whatever.
do you steal that and just take it with you?
Out to the front and get a cab.
Okay.
So I'm thinking we probably ought to find another hotel, because if somebody finds us in that apartment, we're not going to be able to vacate quickly with all our stuff.
That's a good idea.
What kind of hotel are you looking for? Are you looking for a nice one? Are you looking for a shithole? Like what? And I know what your budget would suggest that you.
Hey,
Well,
shithole.
obviously, a nice one has not gained us any security. So
A shitty one near the Blue Pyramid.
Man, okay, so you look for something down in Soho. Okay. So the cab pulls up. Where's it going to be to then?
A hotel in Soho.
Hotel in Soho. Well, you got a hotel right here,
Any
huh?
suggestions?
He laughs. What's your budget? He says.
Less than this place.
Well, that should be rather easy then. Pretty much any hotel in London. He laughs. He's got a cigarette flopping in his mouth, flat cap on. Well, that's about a room and house then. Ma Drake's room and house. They've always got extra space.
That'll work.
Right, affordable. Cooking's good.
Sure.
Better.
Right. Just these bags, he says, as he steps out.
That's it.
Well, he helps to put the bags in the sort of generous compartment, and you get in and proceed to have one of the most harrowing journeys across London ever. Not because he's driving fast, but because he's really talkative, and he keeps looking over his shoulder at you and having to quickly correct as the cab pulls sharply to one side for some reason. You're not really an automotive guy, but just suggests that that's probably a bad thing. You pull up to Ma Drake's rooming house on the edge of Soho. It's actually just very close to Oxford Circus, so very close to the Underground station. Pretty much right here on the map, conveniently. It is an absolute dive. It looks like it might have once been just sort of a residence, but just has not been kept up. There's a wooden sign that hangs on a post with chains, sort of thing that says Ma Drake's. Doesn't say what it is, just Ma Drake's. It says establish 1836. There's one wooden door there. There's a couple windows on either side of the door. The windows are kind of hazy as you approach. Opening the door is a big clunk. You're stepping in. The smell in there, it smells like dog. Very strongly of dog. As you step in, there's these thick carpets and gaudy Victorian furnishings that have not been cleaned forever. Hello then, you hear from across the room as you step in. There's sort of a grand fireplace, and there's a woman just with a duster, a feather duster. Just, can I help you then?
Checking in, please.
I guess so, with trunks like that, unless you're making deliveries. How long you be staying?
We don't know yet. At least a week.
So we can do a weekly rate then. It's going to be £1 a week.
I'll pay her.
You just pay her in advance. Okay. Well, she sort of, oh, darling, no, I'm just the maid. Let me go get Ma Drake. So she steps around the counter there where they kind of have the desk, goes to a back room that may lead to an office or something of that sort. And you hear this horrible, horrible cough. And in comes this very, very, very old British woman, stooped to the point where her head looks like it's growing out of her chest as she kind of comes walking in.
Well, I'll let you handsome darlings then. She's going to be staying a week. To these separate rooms, you're going to sleep together. One of you could stay with me if you want.
She pokes you in the crotch with her cane, Walt. Because in every game, every Myth Brigade game, James gets sexually harassed, apparently. I just realized that.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah.
2 beds if that's in one room or 2 rooms.
Well, I didn't think that you were going to be staying in the same bed. Heaven's sake.
Ugh, she says.
All right then, let's see here. I've got just the room for you. 2 beds it is, and a bathroom just down the hall,
she says. She takes your money in her shaking, sort of arthritic hand.
Ah.
She taps on your finger.
Not married then, eh?
Yeah. She's smiling to herself. She takes your money. And,
let Ma Drake just walk you up to the room then. It's 3rd floor. 3rd floor. Come on,
she says.
Well, come on then. Get your trunks.
After you, Walt.
You carry your trunks. Again, this is like, these things are good sized trunks, right? Kind of heavy, big suitcase type trunks. But, and Walt's duffel bag. You make your way up to the 3rd floor. It takes almost 5 minutes for her to ascend the stairs to the 3rd floor. She stops and wheezes and
Damn fever got me, it does. Don't worry then, it's not that one. I'd be dead by now. I've had this cough for 37 years.
She wheezes out a laugh.
All right, one more flight then.
She goes up. She's here for a good time, not a long time, says Steve. Making her way down to your room. You're in room 302. Open the squat door. The doors are short to the point of having been made when people were shorter, so it's noticeably lower. The door handle is even uncomfortably low. She rattles and palsies the key into the hole and...
Right, then in you go.
She opens the door and... The smell that comes out, it's not death. It's just so much must that immediately your allergies are just like... You step into the room. Yes?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah, and step in.
Right then, young man.
She pats you on the ass. As you step in, you kind of turn to look at her, and she winks at you with her one good eye. The other one's dead and looks at the ground.
Roll sanity.
You step in, so the floor in this room is tile. It's a sort of very industrial tile, and the beds are sort of like a white metal frame, almost like something you would expect to find in a sanitarium.
That'll be good for my mental health.
It will. You step in, though. There's really not much to say about the room. There's a great big matching radiator. And it occurs to you suddenly as you're looking around that the furnishings in here may once have been a hospital. They're very, very familiar, like military hospital style furnishings. So there's a radiator. There's a wash pot on a table.
Is there a window?
There is. It faces a brick wall. You go and pull the shutter aside, or the drapery aside, and look, and there's a brick wall that's literally like this far away from the glass.
I open it anyway. Maybe it'll get some of the smell
You open
out.
the window? Okay, so you go to open it, and with you pop the sort of, it's got one of those little hook latches, right? You pop that open, and little dust from the metal falls off, like, and you lift. Give me a strength check.
Painted
Yeah,
shut.
this hasn't been opened in forever. 28 out of 65.
You lift the first couple times, and you get to the point where you have to just jostle the shit out of it, and then just put your back into it, and you lift it, and you see pieces of wood from the window frame actually kind of fall. But you do get it open, and hear the sound of kind of traffic and the ambience of the city air kind of creeping in. And yeah, there is fresh
And something
air.
to prop it up because I don't trust it's going to stay open by itself.
Yeah. So what do you use for that? There's really nothing in this room. You let it go, and it seems to kind of hang there for now.
Okay,
Like
I'll
it
leave
may
it
not
until I
ever
can find
close
something.
again. It may not ever close again.
Well, at least nobody can climb in from the outside. There's a wall there.
So the beds themselves, Walt, so you're there kind of, dragging your stuff in and looking around. The beds themselves have very thin, almost clinical mattresses on them. Basic wool blanket with a sheet. Nothing fancy. And the pillow that literally looks like it's been sitting under a great weight for a lot of time. It's just like very small and ragged.
Slept on worse.
What do you do? So you're here in your new base of operations. It's fancy. This is almost like the Miller Detective Agency when you really think about it. This is, yeah.
Close the door, secure the area, divvy up the money, take stock of what we have, like bullets and all that.
You've got about 10 pounds left. So let's say you each get 5. It's a mixture of notes and coins. Let's say 3 coins and a couple 2-pound notes. And what was the other thing?
Buy a whole lot.
No, probably. Well, I don't know. That goes pretty far, actually. Goes pretty far. What else did you say you do there, Walt?
I think I got a revolver and just had the bullets in it. I don't think we have anything else as far as ammunition.
No.
Yes. So you had the 38. Did you take the 38 or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I handed it over to Walt.
right. So you got
we're
the
both
38
armed with revolvers at this point.
Yep.
Yep.
One has 5 shots. Who has that one?
Well, I took the one from Brick Guy. He's got the one from Mahoney.
Okay. I think the one from Brick Guy had 5 shots. I think, if I recall, because you guys had a conversation. I forget what it was, but Walt said something about like it's good enough to kill 5 of them. Yeah. Okay. So you kind of break up your armaments, smoke a cigarette. Don't forget, you guys are smoking far too little for the 20s.
Oh yeah.
The CPM, the cigarettes per minute number needs to be much higher. But you light a smoke, and that actually helps to kind of break up some of the musty stink from in here. You hear, as you're sitting in the room from across the hall, maybe, this sort of sound. One of the other tenants, probably. What do you do? Play
What
Xbox?
do we? I think all our answers are going to be in the Blue Pyramid. So.
Or that place Gavigan owns.
Oh, the Miser House.
Yes.
It would be interesting to
where
know
that
something
is.
about that. You don't know where that is. You don't know what that is. Houses with names, just for the sake of historical, houses with names usually have a history. So there's probably some way that you could find out about it. Maybe if you had access to the Scoop archives or something.
That might not be a great idea to go back there.
And there they are. They just yeah. Yeah, so you're here in your fancy
Either
hoods.
that or we should give it a couple days so we can pretend adequately that we didn't know what happened.
Yeah. And then go in after hours.
Or we could do that.
Or both. What do you do, though? So you're in the hotel room, you're smoking cigarettes, talking possibilities. You got some sort of moaning dude across the hallway.
We try not to talk too loud, because if we can hear the moaning dude across the hallway, other people might be able to hear us.
So he's clearly letting it go. You don't know what's happening, but he's loud. It's nothing
Okay.
like that. You've got your privacy here for sure.
Okay. Well, we should probably restock.
Restock what?
Well, if we can find a place to buy ammunition, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, you probably could. You know that guns are fairly restricted, and so you'd need to find some sort of sporting shop. And shotguns and that rifles are probably easier to come by ammunition for, but it's entirely possible that you could find.
But shotguns and rifles are a little harder to conceal too.
Yeah, no, this is true. Trying to think if there's an appropriate. You would think probably some sort of sporting goods shop would be about your only hope there, unless you wanted to stop by the constable's office and ask if you could borrow some 38 caliber bullets.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Sporting goods shop would probably be good.
So you don't have the access to really any sort of directory, right? There's no phone books or anything like that. You might be able to call the operator, go down where the phone is. There was one of the old-timey ones with the sort of earpiece on the wall.
Cabby could probably take us to one too.
Yep, probably so.
That's probably the only thing we would be terribly missing right now.
I think we can get that off of people we encounter if they're armed.
It's probably true. 38s are common enough.
Assuming your plan is to go and start mowing people down.
It just
That's
seems
Walt's
to
plan.
happen.
Yeah, that is Walt's plan. He hasn't let the war go. Or maybe it hasn't let him go. So
How
what
do
do
we
you do?
find out more about the Miser House? Visit some Hall of Records, a library. The people at the Blue Pyramid might know.
Yeah,
We're-
but they
we're
don't
not
like
welcome
us very
there.
much. Yeah, I think if we can get access to some kind of records, either by going back to the scoop in a day or two, or by that's probably our best bet. We can also check out Zara's spice shop if we wait until she's away at the Blue Pyramid.
That's true.
We know she's connected. At least we're told she's connected.
That's something we can probably do tonight. And then if
He's
that
like,
doesn't pan
I
out,
gotta
we
use
can
these
go.
5 bullets somehow, Joe.
And if that doesn't work out, check out the scoop again afterwards, or tomorrow or the next day.
Yes, that'll give us at least a full day to be away from it.
So you have no ashtray in here, so you sort of butt out your cigarette on the windowsill and fling the butt out the window. You can see at the odd angle that you can see, sort of toward the street, there's streetcars coming and going. So tonight you're going to go and visit the spice shop. Is that your thought?
Empire Spices, yes.
Empire Spices, indeed. Nice.
If Zara's not there.
Go ring the doorbell. Excuse me. So Empire Spices is at 76 Wardour. Am I saying that right? Wardour Street, which is ironically 2 blocks, if you look at the map. 2 blocks or so away from your current hotel here in Soho. And also, it's not very far from the Blue Pyramid itself. So, what do you do for the rest of the day? So at this point, so you started your day around 10 a.m. I'm going to say it's probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think we needed a break for a while before
Let's try to get
probably
some
heading
shut
over
eye.
to the spice shop and stake it out to watch for when Zara leaves.
Try to get some shut eye.
Yeah.
Okay. You do. So you how do you go about ensuring that you wake up on time? Because you are exhausted after all of this, and hungry.
Like short naps individually.
Okay. So, Joe, you're dozing in and out as you sit there. You kind of with your back against the head bars of your bed, watching Walt sleep. Not in a creepy romantic way, just because there's nothing else to look at. Walt's twitching, and you see, if you look closely, his hand, which is sort of like this, right? Doing this. His finger just tick, 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 tick. And his eyes, with each squeezing of the trigger, and probably in his dream, his eyes flutter and flinch. He's drooling as well, which is always gross. Time passes. You take shifts. You wind up feeling worse for the wear with such weird bouts of sleep. It'll take a little bit, right, for your bodies to kind of benefit from these little naps. But you wake up and wipe the sleep from your eyes, whichever one of you is sleeping last, and find that it's about 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. You know that you're gonna need food. I mean, your stomachs are growling like crazy, and you have cash in your pockets. There's just no way to avoid that. You probably find some street food or something like that here in Soho. What do? You wake up? Sad you didn't put in a wake-up call with the old lady, Walt.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, let's not see where that goes.
Oh, let's. Give me a fast talk roll to see if you can get your way out of this one. Yeah, but what do? So you kind of stretch, and you feel just beat down from such short bouts of sleep.
Oh, let's get something to eat and head towards Zara's.
So you make your way out of Mama Drake's boarding house, stepping out into the streets of really on Oxford Street, which is actually very busy. And you do in fact find a vendor that looks like just something out of dreams. It's like an American hot dog vendor or some kind of sausage vendor. Looks very, very much like home. So you find yourself a nice, greasy hot dog. I love that the music crescendo. It's like, hot dog. But yeah, so you eat. Just something that you really needed, being a human. And then do what? Just wander around till dark? Kind of try to lay low?
Find some place to watch the
Find some place to watch what? To watch
Spice
Empire
shop.
Spices? Okay. So Empire Spices is literally almost right next door to the Blue Pyramid. So B is Empire Spices and A is the Blue Pyramid, right, on the map. So you'll recall that you had that apartment.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, can we see the spice shop from the apartment?
You can. Well enough to understand what's going on. You don't have a view in, so you can't, the like binoculars and surveillance, that's not going to work out, but you'll be able to tell if the lights are on or not.
Okay. That might be a good place to stake it out from.
And even watching the Blue Pyramid, you can see when Zara shows up because it's obvious when she shows up because she has usually
Yeah,
company.
as everybody fawns over her.
Yeah.
Okay. So you make your way back to the apartment. Give me stealth checks, you guys. See how nonchalant you can be.
Pretty good.
Where'd you land?
Just barely. 43 out of 45.
33 out of 88. Or 30 out of 88.
Walt's a better sneak than I am.
You're too busy flapping your jaw and talking your way out of the problem. And Walt's sneaking behind them to choke them out. So you're moving along, and this isn't so much about sneaking, because there is no sneaking on a big road like this, right? As you're kind of walking along, it is more about blending in and trying not to make prolonged eye contact or seem out of place. So Walt, as he's walking along, he kind of stops and sort of window shops and makes conversation with you, right? It's not like you just walk with great purpose from the corner of Oxford all the way into this apartment. You stop for a second and you glance down at the newspaper. The afternoon edition of the newspaper is just being placed at this point. And it talks about some murders that have happened.
Probably pick one up.
You pick up a paper, give you something to do at the apartment nonetheless. You tuck it under your arm. And then you make your way up to the apartment. So moving in again, this is sort of on the front of the building. You kind of go up the stairs and past these other apartments and have to move in quickly because you don't want to be seen going in, since the neighbors clearly know that it's vacant. I think you have to pick the lock, right, Joe?
I think we did, but I
Did you
wouldn't
leave it
imagine we
unlocked?
would have locked it behind us.
Okay, I'm gonna let one of you guys roll. So give me a roll, D100 roll, and under 50%, it's locked again.
64.
Okay, so yeah, it's unlocked. As you walk up, you try the handle, and it you remember the handle being a little tricky anyway, and it kind of cracks and opens. Step in, it's just as empty as it was before. Your footprints in the dust of the floor. The front window wide open. There's no draperies or anything. Shut the door behind you.
Close the door behind us.
Okay.
If it locks easily from the inside without a key, then we'll lock it from the inside.
It does. There's a little kind of thing just above where the keyhole would be. So you click it, locked. So you've got the newspaper. And it seems that there was an elderly couple that were found not far from here, actually, murdered. The Essam family. Some Abdul Essam and Miara, or Mira, you're not really sure how that would be pronounced, Essam, were both found brutally murdered. Their entrails splayed everywhere. It says that the Scotland Yard is investigating, all that sort of thing. What's the relevance of that, Joe?
I don't remember.
I think Joe's forgotten. Walt should remember. Essam. Why is that name familiar?
That's the last name of the woman that passed on that note and talked to me outside the club.
Says Walt, reminding you suddenly, Joe. Oh, yeah, right.
Maybe her parents?
Maybe. Reading on. Yes. Survived by daughter Yalisha, who is being sought for questioning.
Because they had gotten her brother, Badru.
Her boyfriend.
Boyfriend. I did not have her name written down.
That's okay. You might not have remembered, although Walt would, because,
Walt would, because he was the one that got the note.
Yep. So
struck again.
Smoking a cigarette, Joe, or let's say Walt, actually. Joe's kind of sitting down reading the paper. It's starting to get dark. And reading the paper, you're gonna run out of light, and there's no electricity in this apartment.
Oh, we wouldn't want to turn the light on anyway. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves.
So you're watching people come and go. You kind of glance down in the corner. It's hard not to be a silhouette that might attract attention in this undraped window. But you're kind of looking down the street. You can see the illumination, the sort of warm light kind of shining out into the gray sort of evening light from the Empire Spices. You're smoking and watching. And then literally, you just see the light go out. A couple seconds later, the front door opens. And you can make this out again. This is kind of at a real weird angle there, right? So you can't really tell any detail other than it is definitely the Empire Spices place. And out comes a woman. She has some kind of bag on her arm. She's pulled a coat up because, again, it's kind of chilly still yet in London in March. She shuts the door and turns and locks it with a key. And then heads back toward the Blue Pyramid.
About the cigarette, so that wouldn't be lit up in the window.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of hold it behind your hand, sort of thing.
Yeah, Zara's left the spice shop. And she's heading towards the Blue Pyramid.
Let's give it a little time. She'll be there for a while.
Okay, so you watch, and she literally crosses sort of right in front. What do you do as she starts to approach the front of the building? You just continue to watch?
Get further back into the apartment, like away from the window, where I can still see the Blue Pyramid, but trying to stay out of sight.
Let the darkness sort of shroud you.
Yeah.
So you lose your downward view angle, right? So you lose her as you step back. You think at first you could see like a little feather in her hat, like a little lady hat type thing. You're not sure. But yeah, so she moves forward. You give it an appropriate amount of time at her pace for her to pass the window. Kind of glance around the corner again, and she's gone. She could have either gone into the Blue Pyramid or just kept walking. You would not know which. The Blue Pyramid from here, again, the windows are kind of blocked, right? It's very dark in there. And it's not the kind of place that they want the outsiders to sort of see what's going on with all the belly dancing and all that. But you do notice that there's sort of a bit of an increase in foot traffic around the front of it. It's not like a New York club with like a line down the road or anything, but it's 2 or 3 people kind of hanging outside talking. Another guy walks in, waves to them, and goes into the club. Most of these probably just innocent folks looking for a good glass of whiskey. Or cultists. What do you do?
Wait here a bit and then head over to Spice Shop.
You wait here. It gets dark. You can see the occasional really weird antique glow of these sort of early 19th century car or 18th century, 20th century cars. I'll get it right if I just keep saying numbers. Kind of cruising along, and the occasional horse-drawn buggy. But it's not super busy. Not tonight. So it's Sam. Yes. What do you do? It's dark. It's quiet. Buy shops around the corner.
Probably should head down another road. Maybe try to approach the spice shop from the other direction, not in view of the Blue Pyramid.
Yeah.
You can do just that. So you could come in. Yeah, you could come in
if there's a
from
back entry.
Okay. So you step out. Go ahead and give me a stealth roll with a bonus die. Again, not so much about like being sneaky and like walking like this, but just blending in. A bonus die again is you roll the extra die and you take the lower of the tens place.
Oh, 21.
And 22.
So this place is it's familiar enough to you that you're smooth with it. You step out onto the step, you know what's out there, you know what, you don't stop and have to look around. You turn right on Warder Street toward Meard Street. Or actually you could go up and loop around to Dean Street and not actually no, I'm sorry, that's not true. You have to go south to Meard Street unless you want to walk right in front of the Blue Pyramid. You pick north or south. Which way do you go?
Probably south.
Okay. Do you see my cursor on here? Yeah, nice. You guys can't see it, but they can. So you say north? Is that what you said?
South.
South. Okay, you step out, hang a right, over toward Meard Street. There's a little bit of a corner store. There's a fruit cart that's now empty and closed down there at the corner. The front of Empire Spices, as you move in front of it, it's very unassuming. But it's definitely closed. It's dark. It's kind of a decent sized window that would let light out if there were any. It's a 2-story building. Very likely there's an apartment above. That's very common in London, and you're in the US as well. And you can even outside, you can smell this really strong scent of incense and coriander and curry, and just all sorts of really strong spices. You can imagine it's great to live next door to that place. You round over to Dean Street. You pass a constable who walks along and kind of glances up at you, almost as if he recognizes you, Walt. It's that constable. What do you do?
Like tip my hat down, so like the greeting, but also obscuring my face a little bit.
Okay, give me a stealth check on that. Unless you want to use intimidate and scare him because he got choked out last time.
Maybe after, if this doesn't work out, but that's a 77 out of 80 something.
Narrowly.
88.
So you pull your hat down, kind of pull your scarf up, keep walking. Joe, you sort of glance over at him because his movement kind of attracts your attention. And you notice the constable stops and kind of looks, gives Walt the once over, shrugs his shoulders and moves on, whistling to himself. The fogs are kind of starting to roll in. Feels a little intimidating based on what you encountered in the fog not just 2 nights ago. Nonetheless, you do round over onto Dean Street. Moving up, there is an alley, actually. If you look on the map, between A and B, essentially, there's right off of Dean Street, there's an alley that comes in. How do you approach that situation? So these buildings, right, the facades that you're looking at here, a couple of them are apartment buildings. There's a couple businesses. It looks like a bookstore, a shoe store. There's an antique store that sells a whole bunch of really gaudy Victorian stuff. maybe get something from Ma Drake. And then there's this entryway to this alley.
How much traffic is there on the street?
It's occasional. You might wait 30 seconds between any kind of... There's some foot traffic here or there. There's, a car here or there. It's a narrower street, certainly than Oxford. So, it's like a 1 car width, or like a 1.5 car width kind of thing, and the roads are brick.
Kind of stop at the corner to the alley, like maybe it's a good place to have a smoke, and keep an eye on the traffic around us. Wait for an opening when somebody's not likely to notice, and then slip into it.
Okay, so you light yourself a cigarette. Walt, what do you do?
Same thing. It's the perfect disguise.
Yeah, just a couple guys in hats smoking cigarettes. So you take a nice deep pull from your cigarette. Whose back is facing? How are you facing as you're standing there at the corner? This is important. Like, help me understand what if the camera pans in. Who's standing where at that corner?
I'll face the alley, and then Joe will face outward.
Okay. So Joe, you have no idea what's going on behind you.
Right.
Got it. So, staying there about 3 minutes. First of all, you're not going to waste a good smoke, right? And it's again, it's not super busy, but it's not dead quiet. You're going to have to wait quite a few hours for that. So a couple guys come walking up together, dressed in long coats as well. Pretty much everyone is, because it's cold again. But they walk up and turn into the alley, and the one stops and turns and looks right at you, Walt. Kind of gives you the once over. You say anything? You just stare him down? How do you?
I keep him in the peripheral vision as I'm talking to Joe.
Okay. What are you talking about?
Baseball back in America.
Okay. So this guy stops. He's got dark complexion, not African dark, but Middle Eastern, right? He has an ample beard, although not a super long one. It's neatly kept. And he's wearing a thin pair of spectacles. He sort of stops, kind of turns to you. You notice that his scarf is really nice. It's like this, probably some kind of fantastic fabric from his homeland or something. American.
I'll slip in a whisper that someone's watching us from the alley as we talk.
American, huh? Baseball, he says.
Yeah, you know it.
Ah, I like the baseball. He starts walking over toward you. Joe, you're getting a little uncomfortable. The guy behind him turns, and you see him kind of stretching out his fists, doing one. No, he's not holding them up in front of him like this, but they're at his sides, and he's kind of like, and he cracks his neck as well, and kind of starts walking that direction.
All right, well, now we're probably both facing the alley.
Yeah, I would face that way it'd be normal to kind of engage in conversation at that point.
What two American baseball stars doing here, huh? He says.
Vacation.
Vacation. In Soho, he says.
Who's your favorite team?
Oh, the Red Sox, he says.
A good choice.
All people from Boston like Red Sox. I'm doing a Russian accent. I gotta work on my. It's fine. He was raised in Russia. It's fine. The other guy kind of walks up behind him. Don't really like baseball myself. I favor football. He kind of steps up closer and kind of shrugs past his companion to kind of confront Joe. So what my friend was asking was, what are you doing around here right now? If you're such a fan of baseball, then why don't you go home and find yourself a baseball game?
Well, right now we're just smoking a cigarette.
He reaches up and flicks the cherry off your cigarette. Sparks fly everywhere. Not anymore, you're not.
Friend.
What do you? How do you react to that, real quick, Joe?
Take a step back.
You take a step back, so you kind of shower of ashes everywhere. Your cigarette is now kind of just splayed out on the end. While you say a bad night. No, I'm having a great night.
You want to have a bad night?
He turns to square up against you. Well, if I didn't know better, I'd suggest you were asking to dance. You hear the sound of a knife. You look down. He's extended a switchblade. What I don't like is Americans who put their nose in where it don't belong. This is my street. My town. He taps his switchblade, the point of it on his tooth. Savvy?
Better put the knife away, or you're going to be have the doctor do it for you.
Are you saying that intimidatingly?
Yeah.
Give me a roll. Give me a penalty die, please, because you have gotten this far in the conversation before you started. His machismo is off the chain.
Oh no.
You fail? Did you roll a 99?
Yeah, there's no need for a penalty die there. It's bad enough.
No, so you yeah, let's see if we can make that worse. So you kind of say that. If I didn't have to go to work. Oh, if I didn't have to go to work. He reaches up with his thumb and closes his switchblade. Spits on the floor, or spits on the ground at your feet. They walk into the alley. Enjoy your cigarette there, mate. He smiles at you. You're there with your cigarette still sticking out of your mouth at the end of it, like.
I hope we meet him again.
It's the Walt murder list has just gotten bigger. So they step in.
Opportunity there.
They step into the alley.
Next time somebody taps his tooth with a knife, you should just shove it up into his head.
That I did think about that, but we're standing in the middle of the street.
You watch as the two of them basically walk right into the Blue Pyramid, the back entrance of the Blue Pyramid. You notice there's a little bit of a loading door there, probably for supplies and various other things. What do you do?
Give Joe another cigarette.
You light up another cigarette.
Check around to see if anybody's noticed the altercation, anybody's looking.
No, not really. And if anyone did, they saw it and went on about their business.
Okay.
You're thinking probably it's only a matter of time before the constable makes his rounds, because they do patrol on foot like that, like just kind of a grid.
But once we're sure they're well inside, we probably ought to take the opportunity to slip into the alley.
Okay. Give me a slipping into the alley roll. Why don't you?
Stealth, I assume?
Yes.
I did well.
I did not.
Really?
70 out of 45.
So you're walking in. I'm going to assume since you did well, Walt, so you walk in, you kind of move into the alley. Joe, you kick a can as you walk in. It's literally like some kind of, like a can of beans or something that's spilled out of a trash can. And you kick it across the alley, making a scuttling sound, and you hear this, and this cat hauls ass from the trash cans over into some sort of sewer pipe. You make quite a lot of noise doing this, but you're in the alley and you're in the shadows.
Well, I try not to freak out. Apparently, there's a back door here and people go to work to it, so it wouldn't be unusual for somebody to be in the alley. So I just play it cool.
So The locations, the names of these businesses are painted on the doors so that delivery folks will know where to bring things. Empire Spices in particular, you can smell it. If you go into the alley and turn left, there's sort of fire escapes and kind of very dark. There's these big gutter pipes, downspouts, kind of spilling out moisture and stuff into the ground. It's really kind of that dingy, dark scene. These uneven brickwork of the ground. There's 2 steps leading up into Empire Spices. There's a door there. There is a sliding sort of a door, so that like a peep hole that they can kind of open. You don't know if it's locked or what. There's a single pan light hanging above the doorway, creating this really shadowy, almost like exorcist kind of lighting.
I'm wondering if it would be a better idea to climb the fire escape and break into a second-story window. Be less likely we'd be seen.
Yeah, a little bit noisier, but less likely to be seen.
Yeah, but as long as we time it so that there's nobody in the alley,
Yeah.
So we'll do that. It's a little less suspicious than standing at the back door with a set of lockpicks.
Fair. So
Or I should say less noticeable, not less suspicious.
Yeah. You make your way over. You do see there's kind of the back door there, and there's the yard where there's plenty of stuff. There's a very narrow, and I mean very narrow alley that leads in between that and the next building over. You can, it's kind of like that wide. You could shimmy between it if you needed to. The fire escape, you can sort of jump up and grab the ladder, and pull it down. It's usually meant to be pushed down from above.
Okay.
Who does that?
I'll do it.
Okay. Tell me how you go about doing that, right? So again, you're going to have to jump, which isn't a real problem, but you're going to have to do that, and then going to make quite a lot of noise, you would imagine.
I could try to boost him up.
Okay. Do it. Let's do athletics, probably appropriate for this sort of thing. The problem when you play like 6 games, you forget your skill.
There's a jump skill.
Do you have the jump skill?
Don't see athletics.
Yep, because I'm on the wrong game. let's use jump. That's fine. You can fall through to the base stat. But remember, if you don't have it, then you do the base stat at half. If you're trying to do something massive, right? But this is actually going to be pretty easy, so give yourself a bonus die. And that's the jumper.
Oh, wow.
Jumper, not the thrower. You rolled a 4?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, damn it. You're using the Roll20 cheater script right now, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I rolled that 99. That reset the karma, so I'm going to be crits from now on.
So you step in and you just do kind of one of those things. You put your hands together, Joe, and he steps into it with his foot. And you lift him up.
Yep.
Okay, so that makes it so much easier, and you jump up and grab onto this ladder with both hands. The clatter, though, that is made as that ladder comes down, it makes a horrific amount of noise. The neighboring building, a window opens. You hear it kind of and this lady kind of leans out.
Is everything all right? Is there a fire?
She calls down. She's got her hair in curlers, and she looks kind of like she's just gone to bed. She's wearing her nightgown.
Everything's fine.
Well, it's not fire. Why are you pulling the fire extinguisher down then?
She seems to be getting more worried the more she surveys the situation.
I locked myself out.
You lock yourself out of where?
She ponders for a moment.
What? What's your name?
Just
I don't think you live there.
Joe, you feel like some fast talk is needed here. Like, he's failing. Walt's scary to begin with, and his short sentences are really seeming to be alarming to this woman.
Yeah, but I'm struggling to come up with an excuse for us to be there.
You're coming off as more suspicious than
26 out of 46 for fast talk.
26.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Out of 46.
What do you tell her? What do you try to get her to believe? If you can't find the specific words.
We just need to get into the shop to take care of a few things that we left, and before our boss finds out.
She pauses for a moment.
We're going back to bed. We really don't want to get into any trouble with our boss. We could get fired.
You get arrested is what you could get, she says.
Well, there's that too.
You best watch yourselves.
We'll be careful.
Well, you certainly will. She slams her window. You can hear her yelling something, probably to her husband inside. What do? You don't know what's gone on. You don't know if you convinced her or not. The whole situation is pretty damning. But you do have the fire escape ladder down. What do you do?
Make it fast.
Yep.
You go. You just blitz on in.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a climb roll for your hurried. Give yourself a bonus die because you got the ladder. It'll give you a little bit of a. You're not trying to climb the side of a building or something.
11 out of 25.
46 out of 55.
Nice. So, you Joe, jump up and just start climbing while you have to wait. And also you get a little bit distracted as the window of that apartment opens back up. This time it's a man. And he's looking in there. Hi, what are you doing? You're climbing. Walt, do you stop and talk to them or no?
Keep climbing. Say, we to take care of something, wanting to get in there and fix it before our boss finds out.
Why don't you just go through the front door then? I'm sure she's giving you keys.
No, we don't have keys.
Why, this is outright burglary, he says. I am calling the constables.
We're not stealing anything, but I don't stop as I talk.
Okay, we're not stealing anything as you're climbing up. This is there's quite a lot of commotion. You see lights coming on in that apartment. So you are now up against quite a timer. So you reach the window that the fire escape is attached to. It is a window that is covered with some form of drapery. And you don't know if it's locked or not. Joe, you were the first to arrive at the top of that.
Is there a way to climb onto the roof?
Yes. Let's assume that you could, with another climb roll, you could kind of go up to the, climb. There's a downspout there that you could climb the rest of the way up.
Think we should get out of here, or do you think we should maybe hide on the roof until the constable comes and sees it's clear?
Yeah, I think waiting's a good idea.
Well, try to climb up onto the roof. Is anybody from the other apartment still watching us?
It's going to be hard for them to see you at this angle, so you don't know.
I'm up onto the roof.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So give me a climb roll. This is going to be a normal climb roll, right? You're climbing the downspout.
43 out of 25.
Well.
37 out of 55.
So before, this is a one at a time kind of thing. So Joe steps out, kind of putting your foot on the railing. You grab this downspout and start to brace your weight with it. And it literally just comes loose as the rusted fittings break loose from the brick. Walt, you can help pull him back if you would like.
I'll save him from injury.
Okay. Give me a dexterity roll, please. He starts kind of doing the earnest.
36 out of 55.
So you grab him by his arm and literally just kind of shoulder him off of the pipe, in a, kind of with a thump onto the fire escape, which makes yet another rattle. Now, the downspout is hanging off the building. Anybody that should come up is going to realize that, right? Because it's clearly just sticking out from the building.
I think we've been baited.
Let's get out of here. This is a bad yeah.
Do you guys just go back down the fire escape and haul ass?
Yep.
Okay. You go back down the fire escape, stepping back out into the alleyway. What do you do when your feet hit the ground? What do you do?
I think we'll go through that narrow alley between the buildings.
And come out. That's going to come out literally right at the front of the spice shop, and there by the whatchamacallit as well.
Was there another exit out of this alley, or do we have to go back
the
out
alley
the
you
way we
came in through. Yeah, you'd have to go out the way you came in.
And there's nobody else in the alley right now.
That's correct.
There's no other attention gathered or anything. So
No,
let's go back out the way we
splash down
came.
into the kind of moist, uneven brick, and you look back out into the street. Do you run? Do you try to be nonchalant? What do you do?
Casual.
Yes.
Casual. Okay.
And maybe cut across Dean Street and get lost somewhere for a little while.
Okay. You run out, and give me a stealth roll, please, as you step out into Dean Street. Kind of come around the corner. You cross the street, so you're more distant from the alleyway. What's your target? 44 out of who? It's high, isn't it?
88.
44 out of 45.
Wow. So you move along.
I'm sorry, his was 44. Mine's 22 out of 45.
Okay. So you sweep in and kind of move along, and just as you step out and get onto Dean Street, sort of headed north, there's a truck that kind of comes pulling past, obscuring you as you cross there at the corner, and you wind up making your way back up and toward Oxford Street. Behind you, coming basically off of Warder Street, and what the hell is that one? The Beak Street, the sort of cross there. You see two constables that have apparently been raised and are rounding the corner heading into the alley. You make your way back up toward Oxford Street. And do what? What do you do? It's much busier here. People coming and going. Still reasonably early in the night.
Just wait on a corner again and
Go stand at that same corner and smoke cigarettes for a while.
different corner. Wait for
Okay.
the heat to die down.
Okay. How long do you wait? There's no way to tell if the heat's died down. You know,
Yeah.
there's not like flashing lights or sirens or anything like. There's some whistles that you heard initially. You know, the British constable whistles.
Like, can we see the entrance to that alley from where we are?
No, not from all the way down here at Oxford Street. You're. I mean, you can see it, but it's just small. You can't make out many details, and it is kind of dark.
Or maybe just walk around a bit and check back on that area from a distance every now and then.
Okay. Well, you come back. You wander around until about 10. Best guess. You know that's what your pocket watch says. You end up coming through that square there out onto Dean Street, giving you a kind of nice catty corner view. It's definitely quiet.
You want to try and pick the lock this time?
Certainly don't want to try to climb in again. But they might be on the lookout for people this time. And if anybody knows that Zara frequents the Blue Pyramid, they could have alerted her.
What's the front of the store look like?
So the front of the store is a decent sized kind of picture window, door next to it. It's a good big wooden door. Above the door is a sign proclaiming Empire Spices, with this kind of a carved wooden sign with these barrels and bags with little mounds of powder in them or whatever, and a mortar and pestle. So yeah, it's just a storefront, but it is right there in a pretty well lit street, to be honest, and only like a door down from the Blue Pyramid. So there are usually people standing out in front of it, smoking and stuff.
Is there a roof access on
A roof
building
access
with the shop?
You don't know. But what do you mean by that? Is there roof access into the shop itself?
Like, if we got to the roof of that building, could we go inside from there and work our way down to the shop?
You don't know. You're not sure. So kind of from the storefront facade, the sort of facade goes up a little bit higher from back here in the angle that you can see at. You just don't know. This appears to just be a fairly straightforward 2-story building. Roof access to the Blue Pyramid would be climbing fire escapes to the Blue Pyramid to get up there, or going in from inside if there is roof access, but that would be harder because it's populated with club goers. You can even hear the sort of twangy Egyptian music straining out now that things are starting to heat up, and see some lights up there and shadows moving as the belly dancers do their belly dancing and that sort of thing. What do you do?
Our best bet's either going to be to try another night, but there will probably be higher scrutiny due to the broken downspout, or go back to the alley and pick the lock, or try to.
Something tells you that something tells you if Zara returns, notices her downspout broken. Here's the story. It's your window of opportunity for burgling, maybe over her.
Maybe gone, yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, taking for granted that no, there's still nobody there. What do? You now know the layout of the alley. You know where that can was, so you don't have to kick it again.
Yep.
Moving quietly again.
Rinse and repeat.
Okay.
Keep an eye out for anybody looking out of windows or constables poking their noses around.
Give me a stealth check with a bonus die, please. Bonus die representing your familiarity with the alley. Know where the shadows are. Ooh, that one's bad. There you
36
go. There you
out
go.
of 45.
The other one was
72
what?
out of 88.
So while you get hung up just kind of watching the shadows and the heavily curtained windows of the Blue Pyramid Club, and find that you're just walking out in the middle of the light. No one really seems to notice you, though. You arrive at the back door. There's a pan light again, a single light bulb shining down. It's going to illuminate you at the door. There's just no two ways about that.
Is it reachable?
The pan light?
Yeah.
Yes. Standing on your tiptoes, yeah.
Take a handkerchief or something and unscrew it.
Okay, you take out your hanky. That, by the way, what a gross custom hankies were. That'll be a topic for another session. Demon possessed hanky. You take your boogery hanky and reach up and unscrew the light bulb. Just 2 twists. Do you take the light bulb or do you?
No, just leave it there.
Okay.
Be more suspicious if it's gone.
Yep. So it flickers a couple times as you start to turn it, and then poof, it's dark. Now it's nice and dark. Your eyes adjust. The moonlight, what little there is, peeking through the gray London clouds, affords you a view of the door.
Try to open the door.
Let's get that lockpick on.
Yep. Take some time. Try to do it right because I'm not very good at this yet. $33 out of 29.
So
Use those luck points.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just checking that. Yep, I will use 2 of them to get down. No, four of them to get down to that 29.
So those of you who never played Call of Cthulhu before, your character has luck points, and you can use them to modify rolls. But you also sometimes have to make a luck roll, and so the more points you spend, the harder it is to beat that luck roll, and so therefore you get to die. But you spend 4 points to make it a standard success. He's fighting with this lock. Well, you can hear him kind of, muttering under his breath, and he's like, no, and then just literally, it's like he goes to look over his shoulder at you, and luck shines on him, and just that movement alone is, and the door opens. Again, it's a pretty good-sized, stout door, kind of thick layers of lead paint on there.
Move inside quickly.
You move inside quickly. So the door squeaks open. The hallway here is pretty wide. And actually, there's not a lot of sort of decor in here. The walls themselves are just kind of ruddy and beat up. Obviously, this is a loading area. In the main hall there's kind of a good-sized table, and there's just containers stacked up against the wall here. Let me actually share this map. I didn't do Fog of War because I didn't have time, so you guys will just have to theater of mind and be nice to me and don't pretend you can see. That was loud.
Yes, it was.
Do we just get Zoom bombed? That'd be awesome if we did. Empire Spices. Ground floor. There we go. You guys should be able to see this, right?
I still have the Soho map.
Lies. Oh wait, yeah, that's my bad. I didn't do anything. Better?
Yeah.
I can see. Okay, let me fix this for the stream. I'm gonna make this, at least for this, try to make it so that the poor stream is not pondering all the shit that you haven't been able to see. That's what Fog of War and Roll24 is, what it's for, but I didn't have time to do that. Okay. So as you move in, basically there are sacks stacked against the wall and crates, and the entire place smells incredibly strong. It's just this mixture of like peppers and curries and you know, saffron and all kinds of really strong spices. And then incense as well. What do? It's quiet. It's dark. There is a door to your left and a door to your right.
Are the doors open or closed?
They are both closed.
Okay.
Try the door to the right.
Okay. The door is unlocked as you turn the handle. Do you do anything special, or you just kind of open the door and...
Yeah, just open it.
Just like, oh, hi.
Mm-hmm.
You have no light source, by the way. It's dark in here.
Lighter. Flashlight.
Do you have your flashlight? Because the last thing you were in underwear. Let's roll it.
I don't know if that was left in the room or not.
I'm going to assume, yeah, they got their own flashlights. You can have a flashlight. It makes it spookier. You turn on the flashlight, noting that the shadows dance all over the place, and basically, this room seems to be some kind of storage facility. You saw one on your right. I'm sorry, that's number 8. I thought you were my right. This is a large kitchen, so there's a good-sized hearth in the wall there, with sort of a wood-burning stove to the right of it. A good-sized basin there in the north wall, and a kitchen table with a one chair and one squat barrel, probably used to sit at. The ground is just not well kept. There's just kind of stuff, dirt and little bits and bobs everywhere, and it's just kind of a hard concrete floor.
Do a quick search of the kitchen, not too in depth. But being mindful of strange things we found in kitchens before.
Okay. So the first thing you notice as you move over is that there's a good bit of warmth, Joe, coming off of the stove. Probably it's kept lit to make it easier to kind of get hot. Really.
What? Check it just to be sure, but
okay.
Brace myself in case there's like a head in there cooking or something.
Give me a spot hidden roll.
10 out of 96.
You notice hanging on a hook right next to the stove, in a very nondescript kind of place, is a small key ring. There's some very basic iron keys there.
I'll take that for now.
Okay. You take yourself a key ring in your inventory. Walt, what are you doing? You notice Joe poking around, and he kind of reaches in, and you hear some kind of slight little tinkling of keys together as he pockets this key ring. What are you doing? You're standing by the door.
I'm at the doorway, watching the hallway, like down to 10.
Shining the light for Joe. I'm going to assume you have one flashlight.
I think one of them was broken before, yes.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I'll just give it to Joe then.
So you're kind of standing there in the dark. As you're standing there, you notice that there's a slight odd shadow that sort of passes low on the ground. You're looking kind of toward the south there, where that's south, right? Sort of toward the door to the main store. You step out of the kitchen. Where do you go after that?
Probably right across the hall.
Yeah.
So you move across again. Your flashlight playing and casting all kinds of interesting shadows. This door is also unlocked. So as you open this door, it is basically packed with spices and things. You step in, there's crates, there's bags, there's all sorts of things.
Look around the room briefly, but there's not a lot of point in trying to unpack a whole storeroom full of stuff if that's what this is.
Okay. The one thing that strikes you as you look around, there's kind of bags and crates, and sort of up against the wall in between the crates and that kind of odd, shaped orangish brown thing. It looks like there's a pallet made. There's a little crate there that's been turned upside down, like a milk crate. It's got a little candlestick. There's a plate there with a fork sitting in it and a steel cup. Looks like someone occupies this room.
Look around and see if we can see any evidence of who it might be. Is there a place where they might be sleeping, or?
Well, that would have been it if it were. You pass the light around, and as you do, the light kind of dances off of all these crates and shapes and literally makes it seem like there's someone in the corner or there's someone stooped here or there. As you shine the light across the room, you find yourself jerking around to see, but there's no one there.
Is the window barred for this room? Or could it just be open and someone could leave?
No, the window is in fact barred, yeah.
Can the store be unlocked from the inside, or can it be only unlocked from the outside?
You look, and it does look as if it can be locked or unlocked from the inside. Yeah.
Not an impromptu jail cell, probably.
No, it can be unlocked from the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not sure. Could have been. But you'd think you probably wouldn't want to give a prisoner fire.
No.
Nope. Not in a room full of bags and boxes.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we will move towards the center of the building, towards area 10.
Okay. So as you as you move into the sort of center room, area 10, who's first? I'm guessing, Joe, you with the light.
Probably with the light, yes. But I'll cover the light a bit as we move into main hallways and watch for light that might be coming from other areas, or try to listen for sounds that might be coming from other areas. We don't want to come across somebody unexpectedly.
There might be a cat or something little around here. Saw something small moving around.
So you see there's a good-sized table in here. And there's just all kinds of jugs, some measuring containers, there's some scales and a variety of other things. Kind of dominating this room. More storage sacks to the south, more crates piled up. Excuse me, most of them looking like they're reasonably old, right? They're starting to kind of show their age and might have a little bit of cobwebs down around the bottom. There's stairs going up. And there is a door, which might indicate a cellar.
Okay. Check the rest of this floor first, you think?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
What'd you say?
Guessing moving back to front, we would probably check the door to area 11 first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go to the door, area 11, and it is also unlocked. The door opens, and it is actually dominated by a large wooden desk. There's a stove in here, obviously, to kind of stave off the cold in the winter, and a wooden chair with a leather trim on the back, brass end caps and things like that. The desk itself is literally just littered with paperwork of some kind.
This seems like it'd be a good place to spend a little time searching, because it's like looks like her office, maybe, right?
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So this would be a good place to spend some time searching.
Is there a desk lamp or anything in here?
There is. There's a hooded desk lamp. It's got sort of that green glass to kind of mute the light coming from it. You can turn that on.
There's any windows, yeah, right?
No, there are not.
So just turn on that lamp.
And it would sort of just look out into the alley anyway. Okay.
I close the door too if he's turning on a lamp, and if there's a rug or something in the room that I can put up against the door to keep the light from going under it, give away our presence.
Yeah, you don't really find a rug that you could. There is a rug, but it'd be sort of under the desk. Yeah. You could probably take your coat off.
I was going to say I could take my coat off and roll it up.
Okay, so you do that. The light clicks on, affording your eyes a little bit of relief and dousing all these kind of shadows that were creeping up as you were, shining the flashlight around. Flashlights in this day and age are not exactly like mag lights either. So what do? There's a desk, and there's a lot of papers here. Sort of a leather-bound ledger book that's sitting there open. Looks like a lot of invoices and that kind of thing. Where do you start?
Start with the ledger.
Okay. Do you have an...
Walt, maybe you should look through some of the papers on the desk while I look through the book.
Yeah.
Would you happen to have, and I know this is a skill that most people pick when they make their characters, would you happen to have accountancy?
No.
I didn't guess so.
There is an accounting skill.
I know.
But I'm at the base.
Oh, you want to give it a shot?
I can give it a shot.
Oh shit.
Out of 5.
Well, that's great. You get the complete wrong impression at first of what this thing even is that you're looking at. You don't. The handwriting is just too messy. You think it might be some kind of calendar thing because there's dates there, but
it's in code.
It gives you a headache. There's a reason why Miller Detective Agency is kind of running in the red. It's what you can know is it's a money book. It's kind of like a big check register, some numbers and shit coming and going, but you don't. I mean, it's not your bag. Not your bag at all. The one thing that you do know, which would be lost, would not be lost on anyone looking at this, is there's a list of names. All of them seem to be fairly legit company names, and then there's some number, and then there's another number, and you don't know what. You have no idea. This is just
any
crap.
names that wouldn't make sense.
No,
like she's buying from a steel mill or something like that.
No, the ones you can decipher, no, but the
just business names.
Yeah, and the 100. I mean, the handwriting's just impenetrable for you. You see nothing useful here. Lots of typed invoices, some handwritten ones, probably from local vendors. It really looks like a business woman's desk. She's got a pretty nice fountain pen. There's a well of ink there. She's got a nice leather blotter with a calendar. Give me a spot hidden roll, Walt, as you're searching around.
Wrong one. 59 out of 89.
So you notice there's all kinds of markings on the calendar, and most of them are in kind of like a shorthand that a person would recognize. No one else would really have any idea what the hell it's all about, right? As you're kind of glancing over, you notice that there's a tick mark on certain days, and you're not sure why, but it's like a rhythm.
Is it one that matches up to the day that the Isms were murdered?
Yes. Yes, in fact. That was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
these
all.
Calendar marks.
It doesn't say murder day.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
pointed out to Joe that these calendar marks might be on the days that the murders happen.
Does it coincide with the other murder dates that we're aware of?
It's the blotter view, right, is just 1 month. It's just
Okay.
the current month. That's your kind of desk calendar sort of thing. So no, and there are multiple marks on this blotter, on this month, March.
How about inside the desk?
Okay. You open the desk. There is an extra well of ink. There's some tape, like packing tape type stuff, like masking tape kind of thing. There is a magnifying glass, stapler. Pretty nice stapler. It's not a swing line, but it's pretty nice. It says, reminding you a little bit of home, Joe, your office. You had all these accessories too. You never really use them because you don't actually keep your business, straight, but nothing fancy. There's a matchbook and an ashtray there. The ashtray looks like it's been, kind of dumped and stowed.
So nothing suspicious.
No. One thing you notice is this sort of odd cone-shaped brass thing. You open it up, it smells strongly. So it occurs to you this must be an incense burner. It's not really something that it's not super common in your neck of the woods in Arkham. But it's a good size. It's like, that big. So she must really like her some incense.
No names that pop out from previous parts of the investigation.
No, not really. It's just fairly straight. The one thing that does strike you all is looking at the books is you're impressed at. I mean, it's a ledger and it's packed full. She's toward the end of this one, and a shelf on the wall suggests that she keeps her records for a period of time.
Anything in the trash?
Yes, in fact, there's a bunch of cigarette butts. There is. It looks like they were dumped. There are a couple of bills that have been kind of crumbled up. You don't know what the deal there is. One of them is for crates, apparently, shipping crates. Doesn't say that it was paid. Maybe she threw it away out of frustration. You don't know. There's an empty matchbook as well. What do you do?
Anything written on the matchbook?
Yeah, there is. It is a advertisement for a London's a men's store in London, here in London. Fine men's clothing. It looks like it's fairly worn. Like she had it for a while before she used all the matches. Joe, what are you doing?
Grab that just in case.
Okay.
Remember the name. Anything on the walls, like a safe or
You look
check behind
around.
pictures or anything.
Yeah, so there is actually a painting there of Egypt, of Cairo. That's pretty cool, right? You look at it, it's fairly detailed. It's not quite Miles Shipley kind of detailed. You can't dive into it. But yeah, you look behind it, there's no safe.
Move on to the upstairs.
Okay.
Or downstairs.
Which?
Oh, we've got one more door to check behind.
Oh yeah.
So you move to the south then? Or
Yeah, turn the light off,
south?
retrieve my coat, move towards the south.
Okay. You
See
do.
what's behind that door.
Carefully, because we could probably surmise that would be the storefront at that point.
Yes. No, absolutely right. You step up to the door. It is just a swinging door. It is not like, latched and locked and all that sort of stuff. It's meant to be able to come in and out of pretty quickly. As you approach it, You pick up on this fact, the way the hinges are. What do? You also notice that there's a decent amount of a gap between the floor and the door.
And then turn the light off in the office when we left.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Yep.
Okay.
If we remember that's the swinging door and we have a pretty good feel that that's the storefront, then there's not really a whole lot of reason for us to go in there right now. And we would risk being seen through the windows with our flashlight.
Can't believe I'm drinking green tea. I did have whiskey, but I normally be like halfway through my third bottle of wine by this amount of time. So you skipped the storefront. You've been in here, I believe. Like you came in here some time ago and talked to Zara.
We did. We talked to Zara, yeah. So we've been in the store. Don't remember if there was anything in the store that we might be worth looking at that we couldn't have looked at while we were in there as customers.
So
but
it's like tons and tons of like if you look at the map, just big bags of spices with shovels, scoops in them. You can come up and scoop an amount that you want. There's some scales to weigh them out, that kind of thing. There's some smaller jars of more expensive spices, cinnamon and things like that. So it's that sort of thing.
Probably best to take Walt's idea and check the stairs.
Okay. Stairs up or door?
Cellar or apartment?
Cellar.
Check the door and see if
let's
it
go
leads
find
to
the
a
big
cellar.
worm. Let's go find the big worm monster if we can. So you go to the door to the cellar. It is in fact locked.
See if we can open it.
With what? You gonna
Pick
try
it?
to
no, actually, I got keys. Never mind. So forget the roll. I was waiting for roll 20 to decide what I rolled. But yeah, if I've got keys, I'll try the keys.
Okay. You try. The second key does it. You know what the first one's for?
Another door somewhere else.
Probably.
Maybe the back door.
But you rolled a 1, so also you simultaneously pick the lock too. Like, you put the key in and your lock picks and just and open it comes. No, but you kind of open the door.
Waste of a 1.
What do you do?
Go down the stairs.
There's a steep, rickety wooden staircase.
Yeah.
The walls.
Listen.
Do you shine the light down there? How does that work? Do you just?
Well, since we've opened the door and made noise unlocking it, I listened first to see if there's anything down there making any noise.
Give me a listen roll. What you can roll
34
for this one as well.
out of 61.
What, you gonna check as well? So you kind of hear Walt, you're sort of listening and you hear the sort of puttering of a streetcar by the front, and it kind of distracts you. And as you look over your shoulder, you see the weird light passing under that swinging door. So that's what the weird shadow that you saw before was, probably. And then there's that German guy. No, I'm kidding. So the first thing that you notice is that the walls kind of down into the basement along either side of the stairs, or I'm sorry, along the right side of the stairs, they're like really bricky and old and sort of just fragile brickwork. You don't hear anything down there.
I go on down the stairs, shine the light down, illuminate the way first.
Okay. You shine the light down, and now this does just wicked things with shadows. Basically, everything just gets really creepy. You can see the stairs go directly down along a wall on the right, and then basically on the left it's wide open. So let me share this map real quick. Again, guys, watching Fog of War, we didn't have time to do it. This was a last-minute thing. Probably going to start doing this more often with Call of Cthulhu. I don't know what you guys think, but James, Eric, as long as I promise to feed you barbecue and subsequent.
Yeah,
See if I can get you a good angle of this map. Oh, that's better. Oop. Can the stream see that? Yes, it can. Okay. So you're standing there, Joe. Walt is kind of over your shoulder, but not directly behind you, because you'll note on the previous map there's sort of that big pile of bags and sacks. And I'll say bags. It sounds like bodies. There is a handrail that leads down along these wooden stairs. It's splintery, old, basic, kind of no craftsmanship implied. Screwed into
probably
the
not
brick.
solid gaps between the stairs, all that kind of stuff, like
Yes.
underneath the stairs.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's going to do crazy things with shadows.
Yes, exactly that. So you're going down. You reach the bottom of the stairs.
Shine the light around in the room I'm in.
So the brick-walled cellar, the bricks are all just kind of uneven and different shades of brick, and then some are ruddier than others. It just really looks super creepy. There is, in fact, a pan light, although you don't know exactly whereabouts the switch might be. There is a coal chute, which leads out into the alley, you would guess, and there's a sizable pile of coal there. Again, this is a major fuel source, of course, at this time.
The door to the right of me is closed.
Yes, in fact.
Okay.
There is it's an arched wooden door. It's pretty old. It's bound with iron, so it's been here really quite a long time, right?
Probably tough.
Might be, or well, more basic, but
Okay.
physically harder, right? You're more likely to break a pick on a lock like that. It smells very strongly of coal down here. It's got that really kind of just strong, sort of ashy smell.
I had the flashlight momentarily just to see if there's any light coming out from the door, like underneath it.
Okay. You douse the
Through the
flashlight
keyhole.
against your chest. Everything goes suddenly dark, Walt. There is no light.
Okay. I uncover it and move off the staircase into the room, make way for Walt to come down.
Okay. So you step onto the stairs, Walt, and kind of make your way down as well. It creaks as you go. You get this feeling that you're being watched and you don't know why. Walt.
It's the German guy.
Yeah, it's normal now.
It's Fritz. It's Fritz.
I'll check the corners and
Okay. So you look into the corners, right? Your eyes darting around, but it's so dark down here. There's no ambient light whatsoever from the street as there was in the building. That's how you were able to feel okay with Joe
Walk
having
around
a
with the flashlight. Try to stick together.
So where do you go?
Just make a loop around the room. We came off the staircase in the middle of the south wall, so probably just continue towards the east and then make a loop around. We'll have to skirt around the coal pile.
Okay. So there's also, I neglected to mention, this is my bad, but there's that shaded area there by the door is actually an old bed frame that's kind of leaning up against the door.
Oh.
So apologies for that.
That's okay. Does it hide the door, or do we still see that there's a door there?
You can basically see there's a door there. You've got a flashlight.
Okay.
You're standing right there. It's a bed frame. It's not like a mattress and all that sort of stuff. Excuse me.
Okay.
There's a shovel, which should take us back to the Tides of Nurgle campaign. A proper shovel. No, but
There's no halfling here to throw it.
yeah, there's a shovel kind of sticking out of the pile of coal, and a bucket. For obvious reasons, right? Put in the coal burning stove. Spread that black lung. So quiet down here.
move the bed frame out of the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's nothing else of note in the room, yeah, let's tackle the door.
Give me a spot hidden. Whoever, I guess it'd be Joe with a flashlight.
27 out of 96.
You kind of made your sweep around the room looking for something interesting, right? You find these sort of boxes in the corner, crates. They've got just some household sort of candles and some things like that. The brickwork beneath this sort of rusty metal bed frame is scraped, scratched, and recently enough that the dust of the scrape is still there around the brick, right? Powdery. This thing's been moved.
Walt, look at this.
I check it out.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right, where when something moves around a lot over brick, it gets scraped and marred. And over time, the powder from the scrape gets cast away, blown away, swept away, whatever. It's obvious that this thing moves. It's been moved frequently enough, and probably quite recently.
I'll help him move the bed frame so we don't make too much noise with it.
So you give it the 1, 2, 3 heave ho. It's not heavy, especially not with the two of you. And picking up together makes good sense because just even with that, it's kind of noisy because it's metal, right? The various seams and things are rickety and old, hence it being, discarded here. What do you do with it? Kind of lay it out in the main room. Whereabouts do you put it?
Set it to the side, probably against the wall, just far enough over that we can open the door.
Okay, so you leave it down here in the area. Okay. Got it. Okay, so you have a short, sort of stout oak door, almost like a dungeon door. It's what it reminds you of. Like a dwarf could come out of that any minute. It's shorter. It's built during a time, again, when people were shorter. The doors in these kind of places are just a little bit shorter than usual. And yeah, there's a lock there.
Is the door locked?
The door is locked.
Okay, see if any of the keys work on it.
No. You try the first one, second one. I think I said there's 3 or 4. You try, let's say 3. You try all 3. Clink, 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 clink. They all fit because the keyholes are different. They just kind of go in the hole. And, but no.
I don't know if I can open this one.
You can check the apartment, see if there's more keys up there.
We can try that. We make our way back upstairs, I guess.
Okay. Creaking your way back up the stairs. And then rounding the corner and going up the other stairs. The vibe on the other stairs is a little bit different. I'll explain here in a second. That's the Blue Pyramid Club. What? So, set the view for the stream real quick. Boop. Edit out my boop noises. Okay. What can you see? I'm guessing you see the map, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you come upstairs to find it smells really good up here. It's just the perfect blend of exotic oils or some kind of powders, incense you don't know. The walls are decorated with these really rich Egyptian art pieces. In some cases it'll be like a wood carving painted with the golds and blues of Egypt. There's a pharaoh that like a Tutankhamun kind of pharaoh, not like a scary one, that just sort of is staring you down as you come up to the top. And there's a potted plant there as well on the landing to the stairs. It's a little bit squeaky though. It's an old building, and so and there are windows, of course, around that you're going to have to be mindful of with the light. What do you do as you step up? There are doors, as you see here.
Guess probably go through the first door right there on our right. Into number 5.
So you step in, and it is actually a doorway. This is. There's a closed door that leads back out into the hallway, but this is a lounge. These beautiful, comfortable pieces of furniture. There's an old trunk that has been converted into a table. It's got like a tea tray that's sitting on top of it. And then, of course, there's a stove in the corner there and a window that looks out with a window seat in front of it. But this window, you would know, looks out over the front of the store, out into the
Creeps
street.
over the window at all?
Yes. There are these beautiful, everything in here has got this really sort of like either Egyptian or very like, kind of Moroccan feel to it. This really opulent. The rug is just really, it's gaudy, but it's a kind of gaudy that you would have if you had that sort of money.
Oh, we just want to be mindful of the light being seen through an exterior window.
Yep.
We'll check the room quickly. Move the tea tray, see if there's anything of note in the trunk.
Okay. You open it and you kind of have that like D&D moment, like, oh no, it's a mimic kind of moment, right? As you're opening this tray or the trunk, and no, it's just pillows, extra pillows.
I'll look through them real quick just to make sure there's nothing hiding underneath them.
They're truly pillows, and no, nothing hidden.
Any end tables or anything with any drawers that might be?
No. You glance around. I mean, there is the trunk is really the dominant table. There's a bookshelf in the corner that's got like very typical, almost like if you were trying to set up, Joe, a film set, although it's not. This is how you'd set the room up. It looks undisturbed, like not much time is spent in here. The books on the corner or on the shelf are all like obvious British literature sort of books,
Okay. Well, keeping in mind that we're looking for a key, we're also looking for any places that a key might be hidden, small curio boxes, things like that.
Yep. Give me a spot hidden roll. Let's see if you find anything interesting.
2 out of 96.
So, Joe, you find a glass domed clock on the top of this bookshelf, and you pick up the glass dome clock, just kind of looking around, and sort of tucked underneath it is a folded stack of British pounds sterling. There's actually 50 pounds here, 50 quid.
I leave it. We're not exactly thieves, and we don't know what Zara's role in this is yet, so.
Poor Walt over searching the other side with his 62. So you don't find any quid. But yeah, you get the same impression that this room is just pristine, and probably she comes in and entertains here once in a while. But yeah, it's probably not her hiding place for secret shit.
Wrap up here and cross the hall to 6.
Yep.
So you cross the hall to 6. Opening this door, interestingly, the hinges don't squeak. Just it glides right open. And it is an absolutely beautiful bedroom with this canopied bed. This wonderful rug, this nice sitting area. It's this really, nice, airy bedroom. There's a dressing table, of course, a fireplace. Dressing table has all kinds of, makeup and perfume bottles with the little squeezy thing on them. Squeezy bottle.
And again, any curtains over the window, making sure we can look around without the light being obvious to people.
Yeah, there are curtains that you're going to have to be cautious with the light. There's also, and I'm moving this, but there's a roll top desk sitting against the wall, like a writing desk that one might sit at to write their memoirs.
That's a more obvious place to search.
It is locked. You walk over and pull. Oh, man. You want to try to pick it?
Probably doesn't use any of the keys on the key ring, huh?
It does not. It's smaller.
We'll try to pick it. If not, those are relatively easy to break.
Give me that roll.
Nope. 53 out of 29.
Yeah, you just frustrate yourself. You're in there and you're like, these aren't the ones I've trained for. I've got to practice more or something. Do you try to just yank it open?
Force it.
Okay. Give me a strength roll. You rip the whole top of the desk off. Yeah, pretty much. Okay.
15 out of 65.
So he turns and looks at you, Walt, and just rips this thing open, and it slides open. It's pretty loud. And actually a vial of ink tips over. Thankfully, the cork is in it. Your wrath has been successful. You have opened this. You've opened the roll top desk, which has many roll top desks, right? You kind of roll the top up, and the hutch has little compartments and things with paper and envelopes and pens and ink, all that sort of stuff. What do you do?
We search the desk.
Give me a spot hidden roll.
Particularly for any keys. $60 out of 96.
I'll check the paperwork while he's looking for the key.
Okay. You start sort of kind of digging around, looking for something interesting. You find, you find a letter. It looked like she started to write. It's got the date on it of like February something, and then it says "Dear," and then it doesn't say anything else. With your as you're kind of clicking and clunking along, you're standing there, and Joe is fiddling around and opening this, that, and the other. And just at the right moment, Joe, you find this kind of curious turn to the handle on. It looks like a decorative handle, right? Like not a full drawer, but just like it's a little pull circle. You turn it, and Walt, you feel something kind of bump you in the leg as a compartment in the side of the desk pops open.
Hey, you opened something.
What is it?
You step back and look.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little drawer about that deep that seems to slide under the desk that you have opened. It does contain some stuff. You don't know what.
Rifle through it.
So inside, you find the first thing that's striking is there's a folded black silk something. It's like a big square of silk. That's literally, as you open the drawer, that's what you see. As you kind of pull it out, it's a garment. It's a folded black silk robe. And then beneath it, as it was covering them up, you see a black, like a metal chain, maybe silver, you're not sure. What would appear to be an old scroll, like crumbling, like papyrus kind of old. An actual scroll. You get a chill down your back as you're looking at this. And then there's a black silk, another bit of black silk fabric that's kind of crunched down in the drawer. And an interesting pair of unusual metal rods. What do you do? They're both black.
I just take a closer look at all this stuff.
What do
What's
you look
the
at
other
first?
piece of black silk fabric if we pull that out and unfurl it?
Yes. So there is a skull cap there. It's clearly meant to kind of wear, right, as a hat. It's got the two side pieces, and interestingly, it's got an ankh on it, like an Egyptian ankh. Give me a knowledge roll. EDU. What are you beating?
75.
I'm distracted.
I forgot that you were like the knower of all things. So the thing that strikes you, Walt, you pick it up as Joe's kind of inspecting, and you notice that the way this would fit, right? It's a little longer in the back, almost like a bald cap, right? Like it's short in the front, longer in the back. If you put this on the right way, the ankh would be upside down. Likewise, The metal chain has a black, probably made of onyx, polished, inverted ankh. As you hold it up, and it dangles there, creating that familiar upside down cross feeling, right? With the loop at the bottom, but still, to those of you who are God-fearing men like Joe and Walt, sends shivers down your spine.
What were the metal rods?
So each of them appears to be about a foot long. So when you ask that question, do you just poke at them? Do you pull them out of the drawer? Like, how does that play?
I take them out of the drawer.
Okay. So you put the skull cap back down, reach in and grab these rods. Each is about a foot long, and it ends in a crook, while the other ends in an inverted ankh. The shapes appear almost organic. It's almost as if the metal was grown rather than forged. As you're looking at it, it kind of it feels confusing, and it makes your head kind of hurt. It's almost like the metal's cold in your hand too.
I put them back. They're really into that symbol.
Yeah, we put all of that back. Any of the Black Pharaoh stuff that we've come across indicate that the upside down ankh would be significant?
Give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll. Why don't you?
Okay. The base on that is 0%.
I know.
Okay.
So here's what I'll give you. Give me an idea roll. Let's do that. That's intelligence. Oh yeah. Okay.
5.
So, I mean, no, you've not researched the Black Pharaoh in that level of detail, and Weathers isn't around to lecture you about him.
Right.
But I mean, it's a black ankh. An ankh's Egyptian, and it's upside down.
I mean, it stands to reason. I just didn't know if we knew that with certainty.
No, definitely not with certainty. But, I mean, yeah.
It makes sense.
And you also get this sort of feeling, looking at these things, like they've seen a deeper purpose than just being stuffed away in a drawer. There are also two, now that you're looking and have moved other things out, there are 2 sandstone cylinders. About that, like they look like sort of tubes of chapstick, sort of shape, like in terms of where the seams are and everything.
I wonder if these are important for whatever rituals they're doing,
Probably.
and if we should just throw them in the Thames while we're here.
Or take them to Scotland Yard.
I don't think they're inclined to help us.
Do you
I don't know. Maybe if we brought all of this other stuff along with us.
you do anything with the vials? You leave them there? What do you do?
We either take it all or we put it back so that she doesn't know we've been here.
We broke into her desk. It's
Yeah, it's you fucked up. There's someone's gonna know for sure.
Well, she'll know we've
It's
been
crooked.
here, but
It's
she won't know
crooked.
we found the drawer.
That's true.
Unless we take everything.
I say we take everything.
Let's do it then.
So
Can we
Out
Go
of
ahead.
spite.
give me a. So what do you do? So you've got this stuff in the drawer. I mean, it wouldn't take. You just need a little bag or something to carry it in.
Just wrap it up in the robe.
Yeah, we could wrap it up in the robe and tie it.
Okay, you do. So you take a moment to kind of gingerly wrap it up. Silk makes a good knot once you get it good and tight. I think it's going to have to go to the cleaners to get the wrinkles steamed out of it when you're done, but you create like a hobo packet with this. What else do you do?
Check the rest of the room. She had a makeup table that has drawers in it, probably.
Yes.
So we check to see if there's anything hidden in there. make sure we've checked everything in the desk.
You search.
Does she have a nightstand or anything?
She does. It is a very simple table with like a cloth thrown over it, though. You don't really find much else of interest in here. There's some various perfumes and makeups and kind of half-used things in the drawers. There's a couple of brushes that look like they might have been made from ivory, kind of carved ivory with these. Everything here has the same kind of motif. She's very eccentric with her collecting of it.
Close up the desk as best possible.
You try. You pull the desk down, but when he ripped it open, it got crooked. And now as you pull it down, it's just getting more crooked. And parts of it are actually coming loose, and you're like, you've ruined it for sure.
Oh, we move on to the next room, so we still have to find that key.
Okay. So you move on to what next room?
3.
3, yeah.
Wrong map over here. Oop.
We're going in order or like around in a pattern. That would be the next one.
Yep. So stepping back along the wall there, you open the door to 3. So there are no windows here. There's again a fireplace in the wall. There's a dresser to your immediate left as you open the door, sort of shining the light around. And again, the shadows just kind of move. There's a big rug, similar colors to what you've seen everywhere else, and a smaller, slightly less opulent canopied bed, the nightstand. This room, though, is Spartan. It doesn't seem like it's been lived in. It looks like it's kept tidy. Always. The thing that jumps out at you is that the fireplace itself doesn't seem to have been used in a bit. Maybe a guest room.
Still check drawers and stuff real quick.
Very empty, except for there is a drawer in the nightstand which contains a pair of silk slippers. A little bit oversized. Not your style, Walt. What do you do?
Well, if there's nothing else in here, we move on to probably 1.
You move up to the door in 1. The door to 2 is actually kind of open. The wood floor, the big clawed bathtub, sink, fireplace for the warmth, commode.
It's open. We can go ahead and check there.
You check in the commode.
Bathroom.
Yeah. So you move into 1 then?
Yes.
So you open the door to 1, and it's just got miscellany. There's a dress mannequin in here. There's crates or boxes of various things. It looks just like general storage. There is a window, which actually is letting some external light in from kind of probably the building across the way.
I would be careful with the flashlight then.
Yeah, this looks into the alley. If you're kind of glancing out the window, you can actually see into the buildings across the way. Make out the scene, kind of scene of lights and various.
I won't get too close to the window without shutting off the flashlight or, otherwise hiding it.
Yep.
I don't want neighbors to see flashlight moving around. But we'll do a quick search of this room also.
Give me a spot hidden roll. Let's see if you find anything fancy.
61 out of 96.
You do not find anything. As you start digging around, shining the light, first of all, it's difficult to coordinate searches between the two of you with only one light, but you don't find anything outlandish in here.
And we got to be careful how much of the light we're letting be seen.
Yes.
Well, no key. So we can try to break the lock open.
Yeah.
I can try to pick it, but it's lock that heavy. I don't know if I can do that.
We'll see what we can do.
Walt's like, spend all of your luck points. So you move back down. The shimmer of light as you move back and around toward the stairs, coming from the now open door of Zara's bedroom. Stepping back in, kind of
like a little bit of light that came through the window, maybe, or something else.
There's just this weird flutter of light, like a strange passing of shadows. You're standing right about where the number 4 is on the map.
Go check her bedroom again.
You lean back into the door. And you find yourself kind of looking at the angle where the light would have come, sort of toward the front of the room, right? And there's this just kind of big-ass mirror in the corner. It catches your eye. It was there before, but something about it just jumps out at you. It's really eerie.
Go check it out before we go back downstairs.
Step back in. You approach the mirror. It's a big-ass mirror.
Is it likely it was just a reflection from our flashlight?
You don't know. You're trying to figure out the angle. How do you go to sort that out?
Now that I know the mirror's there, if we go back towards 4 and I shine the light kind of in its direction, if I can see it reflected back at me, then that's probably what it was.
So,
is the mirror in a place angled so that it would be in line with the door in that spot?
No. Well, in line with the door, yes. Yes, actually, it kind of is. Sort of at an angle. The thing that you notice is that the frame, something about the shape of it just seems unnatural. Kind of looking at it, and how simple a thing, right? Just this, picture, or sort of full-length mirror. Something about the shape of it is just odd. The lines are not entirely straight, or don't seem that way as you look at them. The frame is actually carved with these strange shapes, somewhat like Egyptian sort of mythological creatures, but somehow not.
Walt, are you seeing this? This mirror just doesn't look right.
Poke it.
You poke it. You walk up and there's like this sort of camera angle, right, where the finger's coming toward the glass, and you're like, poke. and you leave a very clear fingerprint behind.
Wipe that smudge off.
Wipe it off. Seems okay, but you get a similar feeling. There's something not right with this mirror.
I check around it, behind it. I try to figure out what's bothering me about it.
I don't know. You look around it, and maybe you're starting to get kind of tense. You want to put your finger on it, but you can't. You look behind it. You look in front of it. You the sides.
I think we need to finish up and get out of here.
Maybe Walt's rubbing off on me.
You pull him away from the mirror, Walt.
Yeah.
You pull him away. Walt, give me a spot hidden roll.
69 out of 89.
So you glance into the mirror, and for a second, in the reflection, the bedroom door is closed. And you look around like, whoa, what the? And you look back, and it's fine. It's giving you
a
the
little
willies.
back and forth to see if there's differences between what's in the mirror and what's in the room.
You look back and forth and do one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
No, it seems okay. Just that one glitch.
Well,
there
I've
is definitely
had some
something
glitches before, so
that's true.
adding up.
You don't see a German soldier standing in the mirror. So you move back out
Yeah,
into
let's
the
get out of here.
hallway. Go down the stairs.
Yep. In the storeroom earlier, there were crates and such. Were there any tools that could be used to open a crate, like a pry bar?
Now that you think about it, absolutely. There was in fact a pry bar for that very reason, and there's a mallet there. That's yeah.
Grab it.
We'll swing back by the storeroom on the way down. Get the mallet and the pry bar.
Okay. So you mention this. You kind of make your way down, head back to the storeroom, which is just where you left it, and ground floor. Boop. You stop by area 9, I think it was.
Yep.
Where the creepy pallet was. And you pick up the pry bar and head down the stairs. Back into the cellar. Again, trying to keep yourselves unseen and the flickering of the light unseen as well.
Close the cellar door on the way down, because if we're going to try to hammer this, it might make noise.
Okay. So you come down to the door. It is there with its stout oak boards.
I'll try to see if there is anything I can do with a lockpick. But
Okay. You pull out your lock picks, unroll the cloth case. Give me a roll. You want to spend a force point?
16 out of 29.
So you pop your knuckles. What do you? It's starting to frustrate you. What do you say? What kind of comes out of your mouth of frustration? Give me Joe's phrase of frustration that we hear just before the lock pops.
Well, here goes nothing.
And you surprise yourself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you literally are just, whoa, how the hell?
I thought that literally would be nothing.
So, yeah, what do you do?
Open the door. Put the lockpicks away so they're not in the way, but open the door.
So, you open the door, and it's dark. You shine the light around, and the first thing that you notice is there is a shape. It's almost humanoid in a way, and your light darts over there, and there is this 3-foot tall idol made of black stone with black candles ringing it in a half circle, perhaps a whole circle, and you just can't see that from here. A block of wood about 2 feet square sits in front of it. Sizable block of wood. Almost like a little chest, but it's a solid block of wood. Lying on top of that block appears to be some kind of cylindrical shaft. As you just from here, you're not able to tell. So this is kind of in the back wall, right? If you look there, and then over to your right is the. Let me ping it. Can you see the ping? So the block is here, and the idol is there.
Sorry, could you ping those again? I was jotting notes. Okay.
Block and the idol.
Okay.
From your vantage point, standing in the door, that's about all you can see. The room is, of course, quite shadowy, although there's not a whole lot to catch the light and throw weird shadows. It's just dark in here.
I'll step into the room and far enough to shine the light around and give us both a good look.
Okay. You shine the light around, stepping over near the block. You also notice that there are lengths of chain on the ground. They're bolted to the walls using huge bolts.
Near the block?
Yes. No, across the room. But here and there, there's actually some over here against the wall, some here. Walt, as you look at the block, give me a sanity check, please.
Oh, poor Walt.
Failure.
So Walt, you step up to this block, right? You feel your hands kind of start to tingle a little, and you feel that warm sensation that you get when it's fight or flight. That moment that everyone was going over the hill, and the bullets were flying, that comes back to you. As suddenly your head's on this block, and you're there, and you can't move. You don't know why. But you kind of glance up, and in this really weird warbling vision, you see this huge cylinder, metal caps on the end of it, rising up, and there's a sudden thud, and you feel your skull crack, and you feel the spatter of blood inside of your own mouth, and one eye goes red with blood, and the other you sort of look up to try, pleading almost for your life, and then the second crack comes in, and everything goes black. Joe, you watch as Walt looks down and takes a deep gasp and sort of staggers back from this block. What do you do?
Try to brace him and
grab him by the shoulder. You feel
All
something
right,
grab
man.
your shoulder, and there's Joe.
Yeah, this is where they did it.
His hands are shaking.
Smashing people's heads in on that block.
And you look down and you see this club. It's got these ceremonial symbols all around it, and metal bands to provide more strength.
how big is the club? Pretty big, right?
It's pretty big. It's about 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet.
Okay, something we're not going to walk out of the place with, obviously.
Oh, it's gnarled. And the thing is, do you pick it up or are you just looking at it?
Just looking at it.
So the thing you notice is that, first of all, on the side that you're looking at, right, you can see these kind of dark stains. And standing back to gain a side perspective, you notice that where it's sitting, there's this vicious metal spike that actually is hanging down next to the block. So it's basically the club is tipped with this spike.
Right.
Made out of black metal. What do you do?
Check around the rest of the room. Check the areas where the chains are. See if there's evidence that they've been used.
Give me a spot hidden roll. Let's see what you see.
I guess I'm a little bit put off by the scene in front of me.
You are absolutely put off by the scene in front of you. So you look around. You don't know what you're looking for. It obviously the chains have been, well, you think, right? Have they? Haven't they? They're attached to the wall. It does look as if they were meant to restrain people. There's no obvious blood or anything attached to them. You notice that the blood stains themselves are so dark at this point around this block that it hasn't probably been used for any sort of ritual killing in quite a long time. It's black, blood goes through, sort of goes to brown, and it's sort of a rust color, then to brown, and then ultimately to black, and almost like a moldy, dark kind of color. That's what's going on here. Whatever she uses this room for, has used this room for in the past, it's almost like a personal shrine.
The idol against the south wall, what does it depict? What's it look like?
Let me see if I can find a picture of it. Nope. So that's pretty nice, actually. I'll have to use. So what it is, I'll just describe it, and I'll put it in your journals for next time. It is an idol of an Egyptian figure like this, completely black, with these white eyes and a couple of kind of brass highlights, but for the majority it's just inky black, standing with its arms crossed It's got the long beard with the sort of circlets around it. And then these kind of weird little ears that come out. It's like spikes almost from the sides of its headdress. Just this look as it stares forward at you with this blank white eyes shining through. Chilling. The candles obviously have been burned recently. There's not a lot of dust or anything settled on them.
Maybe we should get out of here now.
You try to escape?
Yes.
Okay. Do you just head right back up the stairs? Do you don't take the
Place
club
the
with you?
bed in front of the door.
Yeah, lock it back up if we can. Put the tools and the keys back where we got them from on our way out.
Okay. Give me, please, just a D100 roll. And you are trying to beat 43. I'm sorry, 7. Okay, then. You are able to achieve these things. Do you go out the back or the front?
The back. Just use the door.
We should be able to check the back because it's got that little slider there. We should be able to open that up and kind of peek out of it, even if we only open it a crack.
Yep. So you open the slider and you glance out. You can see there's various things in the alleyway. There's the kind of old shared outhouse that's there for the kind of building surround. There's a variety of things going on. There's the coal chute, which is, kind of chained and locked and whatnot. It's quiet. Shiny kind of street light from out on the main street reflecting in the pools of filth in the alley, but no one there.
Then we'll go out the back door.
You step out. This is where we will end. This is a good spot. Where are you headed next? So I know where you're headed next.
Back to Mandrake's.
Back to Mandrake's. Yeah, that's fair.
And we'll have to regroup.
Examine the stuff we stole. There's the ancient scroll that I have to be careful looking at.
Yeah, you have quite a lot of interesting stuff with you. It's a shame Weathers is not around.
Yes, we have to find a replacement Weathers.
That's true. Hey, if anybody out there either watching the stream or if you are checking out the stream on YouTube, if you send an email to gm@mythbrigade.com, we'd be happy to entertain adding you to our Call of Cthulhu game. Because as you can see from the boxes, we have room. We have room for one more, no more than one more, I think. But yeah, this has been fun. Do you guys want to stream this going forward?
Yeah, we can do this.
I like it. But what we got to figure out is the time to get together face to face. Because that was the one thing I liked about these sessions. But if we got together and just ate barbecue and talked shit about IT jobs, and they would stream
as soon as the terror of the disease passes.
I know. All right. Well, so thank you guys for watching. The few of you that have been popping in and out, I really appreciate it. Thanks for those of you who are going to watch this and tell me all the things that I messed up and forgot about in the Masks of Nyarlathotep story, because it has been like 2 years since we've touched it. But it's a lot of fun. I'm going to use a demonic proboscis to press the button and the stream right.